Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 203rd live stream from the MisfitGamersStudios. I'm your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have a brand new submission coming from Pokeniner. We have a Tundra Titan. This is a Ranger subclass, and I have no idea what to expect from this. When I hear Tundra Titan, I'm thinking giants. I'm thinking primordial beings. So I have no idea how that applies to a Ranger class. So join us and let's find out, shall we? What's going on, Pokeniner? I see you out there. How you doing? Nice to see you joining us. Oh man, how was your weekend? You did not get to join us on Friday. You had
I did not. Yes, you know, my schedule just stays being really chaotic, and things just keep popping up out of nowhere. And you and I were talking earlier about just how quickly the week seems to disappear, and it's just because it's from thing to thing to thing to thing. And so I'm like,
yeah,
all right.
when you're busy, time flies. It's great because you're busy, but
Sure.
then all of a sudden when you're no longer busy, you're just like, what happened to all that time?
Did I even have time to breathe during that?
Right.
So whatever, it's fine. We'll make it work.
Yeah, go ahead, Pokeniner. Yes, go ahead and give us some background information before we start today. I think the only updates that we have the community stream coming up. Oh, you know what? While Pokeniner gets us some background information, I have not posted the community stream vote. That was on me. I was supposed to do that last week, and I didn't. Nice. So let me get that started for this coming week's November community stream. Let me get that going. Okay, so I guess we have to come up with some ideas. What do we want to do? What do we want to actually do? What do we feel like? Because usually I just gave all the options, but is there anything like we are interested in specifically doing this time around? Like, I would love to do another mini painting, so I'm gonna offer up mini painting as an option.
Sounds like a good time. I'm just gonna be very real. I'm always especially because I'm in the midst of getting my my own game back into a bigger swing. I'm always trying to get those creative juices flowing. So our community creations are always something, or not community creations, but our MGS creations are always something that helps me.
Would you prefer a pop culture build, a sublet and subclass, or are you throwing both into the ring? Because I'm always down for Lorenpour. I think Lorenpour was like our OG, and so
I do love
that one's kind of
even that would scratch the right itch, because you know, if we're actually trying to, because that's a big part of what I'm trying to do right now with a new campaign coming in. It's important for me to be able to like get my mind walking in the lore side of things, and like how things fit together, and how things like kind of birth from each other, and whatever the case may be. So I'm down with Lorenpour.
So this is for like a new campaign you're building?
Yes.
Is it a new campaign setting, or just a new campaign within
everything's within the same world, but theoretically I have different settings in my world. So
so we'll have Lorenpour with the subtitle of Building Kage a New Campaign.
Sure.
So that way it's Lorenpour basically will because normally Lorenpour is just a deep dive about a topic, and then we'll throw in some themed cocktails along the way.
Cool.
So we kind of drink, we talk. So that way that would be great. We can talk to the community about this, idea of yours, and we can, me, I love world building. Is one of my just favorite. Like you give me an idea and I will run with it. So that'll be an option. Pop culture build will be an option.
Sure.
Love it. Because, yeah, I think I'd rather do a pop culture build than a subletting subclass. I think subletting subclasses should just be Friday stuff. Okay. That's kind of like the new Friday rotation.
Cool.
So then there's mini painting. Chat, does anybody in chat want to give us an option that you'd like to vote on for this Saturday's community stream, the November community stream? So yeah, I'm curious if anybody wants an idea. Anything else that you'd be interested in? So, there's lore and pour, critical cocktails, tavern tastings, tavern tangents, but lore and pour kind of covers that one.
Sure.
We have yet to do an AMA, but I still don't think we have enough people for to make an AMA really worth it. Maybe on our 3-year.
Okay, that's a nice milestone. I like that.
It's weird thinking that we're coming up to year 3. Like, it's November, and it's in May.
Wait, really?
So it's like, it's 8 months. I mean, it's still more than half a year, but it just feels like because the year's almost ending.
No, but we're coming up to it. For some reason, I thought we had another year.
No, well, I mean, yeah, it's weird to think this year's almost over, and then it's gonna be next, then it's gonna be the start of the year, and then May is gonna be right around the corner.
That's so crazy.
And that's gonna be our 3-year mark. That's pop culture builds game, which high point game. Yeah, so we need to revet like this community stream ideas. We need more community stream ideas. That's the thing. We need more stuff from the actual community. Y'all need to give us new ideas on what we can do for community streams, right? Because the idea isn't just an extra stream in the week or in the month. It's supposed to be a stream specific to what the community wants, right? We choose the twice a week ones. We decide what we're interested in, but it's supposed to be an all-day stream for, our community,
our people.
And, without the incentive, right? We're not trying to do a subathon or anything else like that. It's just us giving our time. But we need more ideas. So, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new thread in the community ideas. And this thread is going to be for community streams. All right. So, all right, I think that makes sense. All right, so a new thread has just been posted in community streams.
Okay.
That's just where all the threads are. And this one is for community stream ideas. And basically it just says, post your ideas for topics and series you'd like to see during the monthly community stream. Ideas will be added to the rotating monthly polls when community streams are earned.
Nice. Very nice.
So that way, basically, people could be like, "Hey, I'd like mini painting, more often," or we want this, because we always have the same ideas. But if people, if people want to see more of an IRL streams, or maybe they want to see cooking streams for community options.
Sure.
So that's the other one. Maybe I'll add cooking stream.
Is there something in that thread that lists all the stuff that's already currently available?
There is the actual community streams channel.
Okay.
Because this is in the other channel just for the community ideas channel.
Got you.
But the actual community streams channel lists all of the current options. Gotcha. So that list will just keep growing, and then that's the one what we do the polls in. All right. So there we go. The old poll's already finished. We didn't get very many votes, but it does look like video games, while popular, and they want more, they don't want them as often. So they just want more rotations of video games.
Okay. Cool.
All right, so we got some background from Pokeniner. So for the Tundra Titan, we'll be reviewing.
Okay.
All right, so about 2 years ago, there was a small project to build a module setting for an adventure. The setting would be general North Pole cold terrain setting. The project had numerous subclasses that were made, this being one of them that was led by Pokeniner. Design of the subclass was based on the many frost giants found in the setting, as well as utilizing the general idea of ordning the giant culture, or ordning in giant culture. The project called Arctic Antics. Subclasses in the project were Famine Domain Clerics, Fish Master Fighter, Oath of the Flaming River Paladin, Tundra Titan Ranger, Ice Skater Rogue, and the Year Walker Warlock.
Interesting.
That's
very
fascinating.
Interesting. Okay. Hey.
I wonder how the rest of like the lore went for that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, was that like a contest, or that was just like a group project? Like, just a bunch of people. Like, that's kind of a cool idea, though, is if a bunch of people came together and each one took on different aspects, right? So someone wrote the lore, other people then would do the map, someone else would do the NPCs, someone else would
based off of the lore. Interesting.
So everyone just takes what the last person added to it. So someone says, "Hey, here is the general lore of a setting."
Sure.
Pass it to the next person. The next person be
you
like,
create the city and
yeah, and then someone's like, "I'm going to create a map. So here's the general map based on what he told me." And then I hand that off, and someone's going to be like, "All right, well, based on the lore and the map, I'm going to say that these are the NPCs that are around. I'm going to hand it off." It's like, "Okay, well, if those are the NPCs, I'm going to write, this is the plot." Hand it off. "Oh, well, if that's the plot, here's the types of adventurers we need and the things that they'll face." The next person, "Well, here's the adventurers you can choose from. Here's the enemies that you're going to..." Like, just everybody would just decide based on what they were given, what they will write. So maybe the first person, right? Like, it always has to start with the lore, right? Or maybe not. But the first person would start with something, and then everybody would, based on what they got, decide what they're going to add without, going overboard. But the idea is you would take on a category of your own idea based on what you heard that you think goes well with it. Then you hand everything off to the next person. They read through it all and go, "Okay, here's what I think gets added to this."
Got you. Well, that's wild.
Maybe we do that one of these days. Maybe for the 3-year anniversary, maybe that's what we start. Maybe we have a specific channel in the Discord, and what we do is we start a Misfit Gamers module, where
a community created Misfit Gamer module,
where maybe you and I on a stream will hash out something, the lore, the map, the BBEG. We'll choose something. We'll hash it out.
To be the first domino,
and we'll set that up, and then we'll post an official prompt in there. And then the idea is that what we'll do is everybody will be able to put their name forward that wants to participate.
Sure.
We will list out all of the categories that need to be filled. Right? So if let's say we start with the lore, we cross out lore on the list of categories.
Sure.
And so, the other things, NPCs, BBEG, classes, things like that, right? Like what you will be responsible for. And then we take everybody's name who wants to participate. We randomize the order. Very easy to do.
Sure.
And then that's the order we pass it off in. And every time you decide, hey, this
so
is
they don't get to say, hey, I would like to participate in this aspect. You'll just participate in whatever aspect is.
Well, yeah. So like if we started with the lore, and let's say Soul was first on the list, we'd hand the lore over to Soul, and Soul would have the list of things that they would read it and go, "Oh, I'm inspired to make the BBEG." So then we'd cross off BBEG. Soul would write out their BBEG, and then let's say Hecate's next. Hecate would get it, and then Hecate would look at the list and go, "This inspires me. I want to choose the subclasses and the types of characters you can choose to go against this."
Interesting.
And then Pokeniner would get it, and Pokeniner says, "Oh, you said that it has to be a rogue, like this kind of list, right?" So maybe Pokeniner wants to bust out 2 of the subclasses, and then it goes over to Cosmic, and maybe Cosmic wants to write all about like the actual landscape and the setting,
Sure,
and give us like the actual roadmap. But then somebody else wants to do an actual map of it to say where you can go, the place. That would be very, because then by the time that we're all said and done with it, as long as it was cohesive and you give it a good once over, we basically would have a playable module. As long as everyone took it in good faith, not to go overboard, try to, showboat.
Sure.
But the idea would be in earnest, trying to actually make something that fills it in piece by piece to actually make like, and it wouldn't be super complicated, right? We wouldn't want to make anything super complicated, but I kind of like this idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. So you could be creating the BBG. Maybe you will be. Maybe you'll create the lore. Maybe you'll just create the map. I don't know. Oh, we got more from Soul too. Oh, there's quite a bit more actually. So the goal of the Ranger was to make a melee themed Ranger. Interesting. It was set by Pokeniner themselves because they were often left dry. Okay, so yeah, basically no Ranger. Most Rangers are ranged fighters, so you very rarely get a close-up Ranger.
That's fair. Well,
which is hilarious.
I've seen some, because like I would even consider what's his name from Lord of the Rings a Ranger.
Yeah,
Aragorn.
But even in game, like I totally get that. But that's hilarious to think about because Vixie's character Ness is a sword fighting Ranger. Hilarious that Pokeniner brings up that, but I also agree that's not something that normally happens, but that is happening right now in my game.
That's funny.
Well, you're lost because you left, Soul. Okay, that's why you're lost. You probably didn't even know that I gave you extra points for pointing out that we were in the wrong category. You didn't even notice that, did you? Probably because you walked away.
Wild.
Maybe I should just take those points back for not paying attention. All right, but yeah, other than so community stream. Right now we have lore and pour for your new campaign. We have pop culture builds, minis painting, and a cooking stream. Anything else, or should we just lock in on those 4? Chat, anything you want to add as a 5th option?
I think that sounds great.
Those are going to be the options to vote for this coming Saturday's community stream. But we have to know, do you want anything on that list? Do you want anything more added to vote for? Hydrate. See?
I know.
The one time we don't have water.
It's my fault. Stand by,
The
chat.
one time
Stand
we
by.
both forgot to go
Kage's
grab
on
water. The one time someone's like, hydrate, guys. You need to hydrate. I haven't seen you drink yet. Thanks. See, look what you did. You made him leave. Hi. It's just us now. It's all Soul's fault. I've had it's been a hell of a weekend because I got a lot done, but the weekend went by so fast, and last week went by so fast. I'm kind of in a mood. Shame on me. You know what? There's probably a lot of shame to be had on me. Don't worry about it. All right. I'm trying to think, is there any other updates? I don't think there are. I don't think we have any other updates. I think community stream this weekend is all we need to do. So we have a review to do, and then that'll be it. What is our rotation? We did a game stream last week. I think this weekend we are going to be doing D&D discussions, and then next week I think we'll be doing a sublet and subclass. Let me double check. Yeah. So, actually, yeah, I think I haven't gotten the text from them actually. Oh, appreciate you.
Hydration activated.
I haven't gotten an email about that game I ordered, so we probably won't do board game night this week unless they call me, because they still haven't called me yet.
Oh, because you ordered it to get delivered to the thing, and you're just waiting for it to get brought. Okay.
So once I get that in, so we will probably do board game night this weekend or next weekend, or this Friday or next Friday, depending upon when I get the game in. Okay. Otherwise, this Friday, if the board game doesn't come in, we'll probably do D&D discussions this Friday, board game next Friday, and then we'll probably do an MGS build and then rotate back in games.
Okay. Cling, cling, cling.
What is going on with my camera? Like, so
is it?
We were having. Is it just me, or is my camera like flickering when I'm on this one? Like, am I like?
I don't see it.
You don't see anything, because I felt like every now and again my my camera flickers.
Pokeniner says you're good. So does Soul. Weird.
All right, cool. So let me get that posted real quick, just so I don't forget again, and then we'll move on.
Moving on up.
On to today's task.
I did get your submission, Soul, and I need to tell you, I was just telling Vortex about this. You twisted up my insides with that one, okay? I see that you sent me a very cool class, right? A whole class. I see that this class has some subclasses. Now, when I see the subject of the class having something to do with like a gambler or something of that sort, very cool. And I see that the subclasses have something to do with like the suits of a deck of cards. So I'm looking at it, and hold on, let me pull it up. Where is it? Get over here. I'm looking at it, and I see the suit of spades. Cool, very cool. And I instantly am like, oh, there's gonna be 4 subclasses. This is gonna be great. I see the suit of hearts. Awesome. And then I see the suit of diamonds. But where is the suit of clubs? Now, there could be something in the lore, reasons why, right? Maybe the suit of clubs, maybe there's some one special aspect of the whole thing that like has to do with the clubs, and that's why there's no suit of clubs. I don't know, right? So I am fully reserving any judgment. But I saw it, and I saw that there was one missing, and I was like, how is this possible? But regardless, I'm incredibly excited. I love it when we get like full classes with subclasses, and so that they feel like they can be like filled up. So no, it's very cool. I think very similarly to how when we do the samurai class, we'll probably start with the class and one of its subclasses still to be reviewed, or still to be rated individually, but just reviewed initially at the same time so we can kind of get an idea of the full class. But after that, each one of these subsequent subclasses will probably be reviewed individually, just so that you're aware. But dude, I'm hyped for it. I also got another submission from Foxer. What is it? It's very interesting. This thing's called a speedster. So it's meant to be like a creature, like something that your players would combat. But we got some cool stuff. That's fair. That's fair enough, Soul. I get it. I forget what exactly was happening. I feel like I told this to Vortex. Maybe it was somebody else. But one of my friend's birthdays was not too long ago, and I made a little like a little scavenger hunt for them. And I wanted to do scavenger hunts based upon like all of our favorite shows that we watched together. And when I was looking for one of the clues, like I had a clue that I wanted to use, and I was trying to figure out how to make it work It was the last clue, and it just felt really forced. And it was the one clue that they didn't actually get because, again, it felt forced and it didn't really make enough sense. All the other ones were kind of cool. They were kind of clever. But this last one, it didn't hit right. So whatever. I get it when you try really hard to find something that fits with the theme and it just nothing seems to like be in the right place. And to be honest, sometimes I feel like just not doing it versus trying to force it is usually the better play. So I give you mad props for your self-control. Rip Club.
Wait, what happened?
Snubbed.
Rip Club. Wait, what?
We were talking about the card class.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't think of the pathing to make it fit, so you just left it out. Oh, there.
Yeah. You know, it hurts. It hurts, but I get it. I struggle with the same thing myself.
What was my GIF? I'm now curious, like...
Your what?
He said that I posted a GIF that like was unintentionally close. So now I'm trying to remember where did I post it? Where did I post a reaction to that? Was that in homebrewing?
Was it there?
Oh, gotcha. I see. The sneak peek in homebrewing, yeah.
Was that sneak peek for this class?
Yeah, I think so. It says a little sneak peek at my next big submission, and I just see it like some cards, and I'm just like, oh, it's Gambit. So I posted the GIF of from Wolverine and Deadpool.
Oh, wild, yeah. Which is funny because they just added Gambit to Marvel Rivals.
I saw the artwork, but I haven't seen him yet. Is he any good?
He's a healer.
What? I mean, I guess he's not really either a tank nor a like. I guess that's his best option.
He's got a lot of utility. He has the ability to apply anti-healing to other people. He's got the ability. His ult gives all of his teammates that get affected by it, gives them increased ult charge as well as healing. And when it expires, it like explodes and like does damage to any enemies that are around them. Like there's a lot of he's got one of, I would say, the most complicated kits out there, right? Because he's got so much he can do. He's got like when you hit one of his bumpers, he enters into an entire mode, and you can do different things based upon what you're doing in that mode. One's clubs mode, one's hearts mode.
That's interesting.
One's for healing, one's for doing more damage.
Oh, so he's one of those.
Yeah,
kind of like Luna does that, right? Is it Luna or
Cloak and Dagger? Cloak and Dagger, you can switch between
Emma Frost. Doesn't she have like the speed up and the heal?
No, Emma Frost has her diamond form where she.
No, so who's the other one that she can like turn on heal mode? Or
that is Luna. Luna, when she uses her ult specifically, It's got the blue aura, which is healing, and then the purple aura, which is extra damage.
Gotcha, because that's very reminiscent of Lucio from Overwatch. So I was trying to like equate it to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that where you have these two different features.
Yeah, but this is less of this is, I would say, more closer to Cloak and Dagger, because it's like when you press this, your entire kit changes. Just like when you switch over to Cloak, your whole kit changes. So like all the buttons that you press do different things. When you use your regular attack in this mode, it does different things. Like in the spades mode, you literally just do more damage with your regular attacks, and you don't actually have to press anything. Right. You can, and it'll do something big and explode and whatever. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to him and what he can do. I don't know. Put it this way. Normally, when a new character releases, that character is insta-locked for a while, for like almost a week.
Everyone
or more.
wants to play it. Everyone wants to try it. Yeah.
He's already not insta-locked anymore.
That's how little people give a shit.
I mean, like for the first couple of days, he was.
Damn.
But now, not so much.
I'm waiting. It's so funny. Like I'm trying to predict what will happen with other characters. So one of my predictions is that Rogue's ult will be to steal another player's ult.
Kind of like Loki.
Yeah, I have a feeling because like Loki can become the other player, but I have a feeling like with her, it's going to be one of those like you could lock onto a target and you'll like zoom fly, kind of like I guess Iron Man or Flame does, but you basically go touch them with your bare hand,
sure,
and you instantly have their ult. So you're not like them; you just like can instantly do their ult. like kind of like low-key, but almost it should be better.
You know what I really want? Now this might be
or like you would take them down, like they don't have their powers for a while.
I was about to say, like, if it would be crazy if you could literally steal other players' ult charge. Like,
or their ult charge.
Like
so
that would be, every time you could like
yeah.
siphon their ult charge or some kind of shit. Like that would be crazy.
I'm just trying to think of like how how other characters would be brought into the game, like realistically.
Weirdly enough, I don't know why I think this, but I feel like she's gonna be a Vanguard rogue. So I think she's the next.
Well, yeah, she's super, like beefy. Like she can take a punch, so she has to be probably a flying Vanguard. That makes sense. But that's if they go X-Men. That's if they go X-Men again, because now that they, have shown that they're going to kind of go anywhere.
I'm pretty confident they said that the two people that are going to be released, there's one at the beginning of the season, one at half season.
Oh,
I think it's going to be Gambit and Rogue. Because like even on the artwork, like she's there. She's,
is she? I just brought that up randomly. I was just like, oh yeah, because just.
He one of the lines he says whenever he dies and comes back is, "Can't make Rogue a widow yet," and it's so wild.
They're fucking lines. They're lines.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right.
We here for it.
Well, voting is up in the Discord. Let me know if you have any problems seeing it, because things have been moved around, but everyone should have gotten pinged for that. I also changed the names around too of the people, so we no longer have followers. We have actually Misfit Gamers now.
Oh,
they're actually
that's
like
cool.
different.
We can do that. Sweet.
Like followers was nice at first, but we're branching out and doing new things.
True that.
And we have no votes yet. So no, we have 2 votes. There we are. We have 2 votes. We have one for Lore and Poor, helping you build a campaign, and one for mini painting.
Fire.
Let's go. All right. Well, we'll let that go for a week, and we will get started on today's review. Righty. Let me get this up, and we will begin. It's not going to be a very long one, but we always have something to say with Pokeniner stuff, and Pokeniner always has stuff to say back. So
big facts.
We should have a good conversation today. All right, so let's start, as always, at the very top. We have a Tundra Titan. Subclass is a Ranger Archetype from Pokeniner, and we will begin where we always do, with the description. A chill of fear follows your presence, thanks in part to the cold powers you've unraveled about the frozen titans. Among the frigid lands, you've witnessed the training and society of frost giants, incorporating them into your understanding of slaying. The cutthroat ideals of the strongest of overall becomes the very goal you live by in order to guard your home. Will you embrace the cruel challenges of a chilling titan? Okay.
All right.
So I'm not getting as much as I think as I normally would from this, but I do like that it's very straightforward. I like the idea that you're a Titan hunter, and therefore you've incorporated Titan like understanding, right? It's like you don't go after a wrestler using a technique that's not going to work against a wrestler. You want to understand their technique so you can use it against them. So I do like just the general idea, and that feels so much more like a ranger than just an assassin who's just sizing up their enemy, being able to infiltrate, to take in their abilities as your own, to better understand them and better fight them. That feels so much more like a ranger. That kind of scout mentality. So I do say that it fits perfectly, gives me a good idea for a ranger, but also wasn't what I was expecting, but like a Titan hunter.
Sure.
I dig this idea.
I do like that. This is their art. This is
not
their
bad.
art.
Not
this
bad.
Is not mine.
I like that this one's a little bit more of like painted, like it has that like one, like the painted stroke look. I dig that a little bit more sometimes than just the regular D&D artwork.
Sure,
like the standard style.
Fair enough.
But a lot more Thor Vikingish than I was expecting, even for a ranger. But again,
I would almost expect to see a little bit more fur on him, especially being all wintry. But we're here for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what we get from the Tundra Titan. Oh, we get some magic because they are a ranger. The rangers are half casters, or are they quarter casters?
Rangers are. That's a great question. I want to say quarter casters
because they're like because we've mentioned that before. I think they're like one of the few quarter casters out there.
Just created a document that tells me this. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I should always know you have your app. Oh, okay. So Pokeniner says they are half-casters.
Half-casters. Okay. Then
I remember we talked about this a while back. There's only like one thing that's a quarter caster, but it is out there.
Two. It is the rogue and the fighter. They're both quarter casters.
Gotcha. Okay. So we have a half caster for our ranger here. You learn additional spells when you reach levels in the class, as shown in the Tundra Titan spell table. All of these spells count as your ranger spells for you, but don't count against the number of ranger spells you already know. Rogues and warcasters are the third casters. Yeah, five.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so we get the following spells at 3rd, 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th. We get Armor of Agus, we get Enlarge/Reduce, we get Water Walk, we get Ice Storm, and Cone of Cold. All of those are...
I like it.
I get all of them. Enlarge/Reduce is the only one that stands out to me. Not in the normal way that they stand out, in the sense that it doesn't feel like it fits or doesn't like match. It's just the only one that out of all of them does stand off to the side.
Yes, I would say all the other ones are more ice and water themed. That one's the only one that's
I think it's
physical.
Also so yeah, for me it's like I see where it works, because as a ranger, if you do anything with range, it's also great to be able to cast that immediately on like, you know, your projectile, but also if you're going up against titans, bringing them down to size or bringing you up to size is kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's just that when you pair it directly with the others, it's not that it doesn't fit. It just does stand out as, oh, that's not the direction I would have expected. So
yeah.
There's so few spells that relate to giants too. Yeah,
this is very true.
Yeah. So again, I'm not knocking it. It's just, yeah, it fits, but in an odd way.
Sure.
And maybe that makes it better. Maybe it's good that it shakes it up a little bit.
Fair enough.
Because that is one that, for this being a ranger and a melee fighter, it's not like when you get, you know, there's so many times when you have a build that the magic it gives you basically is forcing you on a path.
Sure.
You know, it's like, oh, you're going to get these spells, but these spells directly relate to, you know, making sure that you have this particular stat or you have this particular feat or whatever. Having that one kind of in the, you know, not at the beginning, but having that early on really lets you play around until you start to get, you know, better magic. I think that gives you more versatility. Like we said, you know, being able to throw something and cast Enlarge, or shoot something out of a, you know, like, or throw your axe.
Dude, I love that.
I think, and being able to like change the size of it or change the size of yourself.
And maybe this needs to be a feat. Maybe this needs to be a whatever. Like, I would love the ability for somebody to be able to, like, as a reaction, because traditionally casting Enlarge Reduce is an action itself. So unless you have like action surge or something, I can't fire an arrow and enlarge it in the same round. But like, if I were to able to like bonus action or even reaction cast specifically Enlarge on something, or cast Enlarge on a smaller arrow and then drop concentration on it or something like that. So like make it go back to its like full size or whatever the case may be.
That would be interesting. It also makes me think, now that you mentioned that, because they're actions, it'd be kind of cool to, let's say you wanted to destroy a bridge, but you know, you have to be like low key with magic and stuff. So how cool it would be, like, you go on top of a bridge, you take your bow and arrow, and people are like, what are you going to be doing with that? And you just point it straight up, you launch it, and then you just walk away. And then as soon as you get back off, you're just like, Enlarge, because that arrow turns into a tree, turns down, and then just basically lances right through and obliterates the bridge. That would, because can you imagine like just the thought of that happening from like a peasant or like the enemy army? Like, one guy goes on this bridge, they're laughing like nothing's gonna happen. They shoot one little arrow straight up, and they're like, that's not gonna do anything. And then, like, not even a minute later, just this giant tree trunk of a lance comes through, and you just see the entire bridge just gone. And then you're just like, what the fuck just happened?
Who and what and how?
Those are the kind of things that I like to think about. You know what I mean? It's not just the direct, I'm going to throw this, you know, at someone, but those are the kind of moments that makes it for some good cinematics.
For sure. Absolutely.
Or here's another good one for you. You want to get through a door. Let's say it's a wooden door, but you know, it's reinforced.
Okay.
You tag your arrow into the door, hoping, you know, because usually doors are made out of planks, especially if you can get close to like one of the plank, one of the edges of the planks.
Okay.
As soon as it hits the door and it gets embedded in, enlarge, and just blow open.
Almost like the little "Where's Johnny" sticking his face through the door.
Because that's another one that you can do. Oh, or a fun one that I've done before is a rogue. I really like this one. If you make a rogue that's magical, and you take the spell.
Okay.
Let's say you try to pick a lock. And this is great, especially for second edition, because in second edition, if you try to do like lock picking and you failed, you had to wait till you leveled up to try that lock again.
Oh, interesting.
It was that kind of shutout. So you could pick a lock, you could fail it. You could try to cast a spell like knock, and that would just auto unlock it. But let's say it's like a magical lock, so you can't do that. But if I wasted all of my options, I always had my opens anything key. And it was a skeleton key that didn't open anything. It was a skeleton key in the sense that it fit in any key opening. But it didn't actually open any lock. But I called it my open anything key. Because I would just put it in the lock and then cast enlarge on it. Shattering the entire lock mechanism and be like, oh, there's no lock anymore.
Well, guess it's open now.
Because once there's a giant hole in it and then I reduced it, I can just reach up in there and then dislodge
Take out whatever the thieves tools get. I'll just stick my whole hand in there.
Love the idea of the ranger having an ice freezing breath. Wait, so have the ice freeze beneath their feet regardless of their weight or size. Oh, okay. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, interesting. So you don't fall through the ice. You just... Oh, imagine that was your water walk. Is you just like turned the water under your feet.
That's what Pokeniner is saying, is like that's a good visual for water walk, is like it just freezes when you go.
Oh, that's kind of clean.
Mm-hmm. That, yeah, just like a little aura. Like you could even just say that it's an aura of cold that freezes the ice as you walk on it.
That's sick.
And I mean, you could also even go one step further and just be like, if you don't want it to break like immersion too much, you could just be like that it freezes the water enough to make essentially like a glacier or an like an iceberg that you're sitting on. So it's like it's only in an area around you, but once you start walking away from shore, it's not like you leave a bridge.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where your aura just lets the ground below you like freeze and float.
There's a character in the game I used to play, Genshin Impact, who literally has that. Like if you activate a certain ability of hers, like she can like run across the water. Like you have to be very specific about it, because if you let it go for too long, then it'll disappear and you'll drown, because you can't swim in this game. It's so dumb. You cannot swim in this game. But
you can water walk.
Exactly. So it's kind of wild, but no, I really like that idea. I love that visualization.
All right. So I think all of those are good, and I really do like using enlarge as kind of like a change it up, right? Something that people aren't going to be expecting to use, and I think that there's a lot of versatility there. So moving on to level 3, we get bonus proficiencies. The ancient presence of the giants are invoked in you. At 3rd level, you gain proficiency in heavy armor. In addition, you do not impose disadvantage on dexterity stealth checks while wearing heavy armor, unless you do not fulfill the strength requirement of the armor normally.
So there is some armor that specifically says when you're wearing this armor, you have disadvantage on stealth.
Okay.
Now, basically what this is saying is you get to overcome that
if you have the
strength requirement. But most people you would, I think, move half your speed if you don't fulfill the strength requirements.
Right.
So,
I mean, honestly, I would just go out of the way and actually just say it removes the strength requirement. I personally would just have this, that at 3rd level, you gain a proficiency with heavy armor, regardless of the strength requirement. And you do not impose disadvantage on stealth checks, regardless of the strength requirement.
Okay, so the only thing is if you didn't fulfill the original strength requirement, even though you could still wear the armor, and like other people wouldn't be able to because they didn't fulfill it, you would just have disadvantage like normal. Okay, I'm actually kind of down with that.
It sort of became an issue with dex builds. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that I can see that, dexterity builds, but that's the whole point, right? You need this subclass to overcome a dexterity build that you want heavy armor. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with this being the one time you get
generally speaking, if you have a dex build, why are you using heavy armor?
Unless you have a build like
because most of the time you could probably get a better AC with light or medium armor. Well, specifically medium armor if you have medium armor expert, and you can have 3 instead of just 2. But there's no cap on light armor on what your decks can add. So I feel like you'll at least be able to get to like an 18, especially if you find a +1. Phew.
So, okay, so you get proficiency in heavy armor. And as long as you have the strength requirement, you don't impose disadvantage when you make stealth checks. I think my biggest thing with this is I love the idea of gaining proficiency. I say that it also comes with just free stealth in heavy armor. I just say just remove the strength requirement altogether, as that's the kind of, again, that's the way what I feel like is the imbuing of like the Titan. Is heavy armor just does not feel like heavy armor. So
sure,
you can just overcome heavy armor, you can overcome the stealth. I feel like that would just make this cleaner, because I don't know why putting the strength requirement in there really makes this feel any different. Because again, like you said, if I didn't already have the strength requirement, I wouldn't be using heavy armor. So if this didn't require me to have the strength requirement to do heavy armor and get the stealth benefit,
sure,
I'd be more likely to build the build off of it. Now, I know that Pokeniner is saying that they want to do a strength focus build, so you should have it.
Sure.
But there's a point to be said where then if this is all that it's, I mean, we still have Runic Wrath, which we don't know what does that. But yeah, it just seems that it does, it's almost like, it's not that it doesn't add enough, it's just that gaining proficiency in heavy armor and not boasting stealth, if you have the strength requirement, it's like, but if I don't have the strength requirement,
so
then I wouldn't be doing
if the way I'm looking at it is, I imagine if they just said you gain proficiency in heavy armor and nothing else, just saying, not giving you any additional bonuses on top of that, just saying that, like that's its own thing. And how would that function? Well, you'd have a strength requirement and you would have disadvantage on stealth checks depending on the armor that you're wearing.
Sure.
Right? So if that's the case and I want to give them more, what more can I give them? And it sounds like the only thing that he did to give them more was to remove the stealth detriment of heavy armor. So I'll say I agree that it would be cool, especially because this is tied to giants, to remove that strength requirement so that it feels like, because you are this subclass, that counteracts the requirement for its innate strength. But also, if a lot of what we're doing here is going to require strength, then theoretically it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter whether I take that away or leave it in.
Yeah.
So, just saying that all I want to do is make sure that you can stealth if you want to, I'm okay with that. If I do think that is a very valid additional option, and I don't think that would be too crazy right here either.
Unless what we wanted to do, because it does say bonus proficiencies, if you're going to go proficiency with heavy armor, would we also want to say you also are proficient? Because we want to make it a melee build. Would there be any weapon proficiencies that would be suitable?
That depends on what Rangers get standard, because this would just be specifically adding on top of that. So let me look real quick.
Okay, yeah. For the narrative, it also makes a little bit more sense that you still want them to be able to put them.
Light armor, medium armor, shield, simple weapons, martial weapons. So yeah, they already have both. So those are really the only 2 categories in 5th edition.
Yeah, because there's no heavy weapons or anything. I was just trying to think of like, could we add anything there also as another proficiency?
I mean, unless you want to give them like a specific toolkit, like Smith's tools or something like that, or some woodworking tools, something that they might use in their regular life to help maintain whatever equipment that they generally have, or just something that would feel valuable of this persuasion. I'd have to see the direction that they go moving forward to know like what one I would choose, but I wouldn't be mad at a toolkit here.
Yeah, I mean, a toolkit would be, yeah, that would be another option. Okay. Again, it's not bad as is. It's just I kind of feel like, why not just go full send and just say that,
Sure.
heavy armor just doesn't bother you, even if you're not strong. That's the weird part.
Yeah,
heavy armor just feels natural regardless of your strength. is where my mind's at, but I get narratively that may not be the easiest thing to do. So
Sure.
but let's see what runic strength gives us, because or runic wrath, because we know when we did our sublet and subclasses, we make the runic warlock, the rune giant warlock. So we know kind of a little bit more about like the runic background with giants, which I really like. So also at level 3, we get runic wrath. At level at 3rd level, you've become well attuned to the magical and chilling creations of the Titans. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you choose to invoke a magical rune of the Frost Giants into that weapon, granting it the following benefits, including for the triggering attack. The rune weapon becomes magical for the purposes of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical weapons and attacks. The runed weapon also deals an additional 1d6 cold damage for the duration, and also ignores resistances to cold. The additional damages increase to 1d8 at 11th level in this class. Oh, only one upgrade. Interesting. You can use this rune weapon as a spellcasting focus for your ranger spells. Creatures damaged by the rune weapon have their movement speed reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. This effect only applies once per turn. The rune requires a challenge to be sustained. The rune fades off from the weapon if you end your turn without either casting a spell with the runed weapon that turn or ending your turn within 5 feet of a hostile creature. You can only have one weapon runed in this way at a time. Forming a new one removes the rune from the previous weapon. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a short rest. Okay, so basically, I'm going to try to summarize this. So when you make an attack with your melee weapon,
this does specify melee.
Well, it just says a weapon attack. When you make a weapon attack, you can choose to imbue the weapon with a rune. When you do, it does 1d6. It becomes magical. Does a d6 of cold damage, eventually a d8. It can be used as a spellcasting focus while in that state. And creatures that are dealt damage are reduced in speed by 10. That's all the things that it does when you're using.
Sure. It does say for the duration. Does it say what the duration is?
That turn. So, so they're reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn.
But what's the duration of the rune being on your weapon?
Oh, so once you've turned it on, it only lasts a turn. It only lasts for one round, unless you've either casted a spell or are within 5 feet of a hostile creature. So it will stay on.
That's right.
As long as one of those.
So it's kind of like rage.
Yeah,
it's kind of like rage.
So, you're getting. I think you're getting questions from Pokeniner. Oh, I guess there were bullet points in it.
Oh,
yeah. So
interesting. Okay. Because I feel like that's how.
Okay, so overall, you can overcome. So it becomes magical. It does cold damage, overcoming resistance, and it slows the creature. That's 3 different effects, and it can be maintained as long as you're near a creature or casting spells. So, one of my things is, this effect can only be applied once per turn for the speed. So you can only you can't just stack.
You can't drops. Yeah. If I have multi-attack, I'm not hitting you a billion times and reducing your speed to 0.
So my thing is, because this is happening at 3rd level, because this is happening at 3rd level, I feel like one of 2 things needs to change. Either it's doing too much too soon, or it just needs an adjustment to how it stays up. Because at 3rd level, basically right out the gate, being able to overcome non-magical, overcome cold resistance, deal extra damage, and slow a creature is very powerful. And that you can just do this up to your proficiency.
Number one, I need to know if ignoring cold resistances includes immunity. Because it's theoretically
you mean does it downgrade everything? Like,
is it a downgrade or is it ignoring it? Because the way this sounds is I don't care if you're immune and I don't care if you're resistant.
And that's always weird to me because there should be two. No, it does not.
No, it does not. Which one?
I'm not sure. So Pokeniner was saying that one of the balances was taking inspiration from the Barbarian's Rage and the Rune Knight's Fighter rune. Wanted to incorporate a lot of the runes. Yeah, loving the idea of doing.
I definitely love that. I think
it ignores resistance, not immunity.
Not immunity. Okay, so if it's just immunity, I still think it's too much at 3rd level.
Yeah. So here's my alteration: is if we're not going to remove what it can do, it's a lot. It can do a lot. I mean, you can also do something where like it doesn't slow them unless you do a certain amount of damage. Like there's a lot of things, but sure. I would say either we have to reduce all of the effects that it has, or change the status, like how it's on, as in the way to keep it on is it has to have dealt damage or had a spell cast through. Not just be near an enemy. That's too easy. I know it's a melee only or it's a melee focus, but I don't think being near an enemy is enough. If you're not doing damage, it's not enough.
So I'll say this. Number one, I think, should this be able to be done with both melee and ranged weapons? Should I be able to get a bow and use this thing with it? Right? That's number one.
Yeah, that's a big question.
If so, I love the idea of doing damage with it way more than ending within 5 feet of it. I think those two should be switched if you can use this on ranged weapons. Because it's so much less likely for you to use it. If you have a ranged weapon out and you're within 5 feet of somebody, whether I'm attacking you or not, I have disadvantage. Like, I don't want to have a ranged weapon out and be within 5 feet of somebody. So if this is meant to be something that is used in melee weapons, then articulate that and say, this is a melee weapon thing. So you're going to be like, it does suck sometimes to kind of like tell people, okay, you have to be a melee fighter to use these particular features or whatever. Like, you could still use a bow if you want to use a bow. You're just not going to get this advantage with it. If you want it to be melee, say it's melee. I personally don't necessarily mind the be within 5 feet. I think that, kind of like you said, I think regardless of what changes we make, this needs to be spread out throughout your level up.
So one thing that Pokeniner makes mention of is, because I haven't looked at this cantrip in a while, but there's the cantrip Ray of Frost, which is this basically in weapon form.
Yep.
So it is a cantrip.
But you got to think,
it starts at 1d8. And it's a ranged attack.
This is a cantrip on top of everything else that this is. That's the problem that I have with this. Again, I don't mind the 10 feet. If it were just 10 feet and your weapon damage, great, good for you. And I know that the cantrip Ray of Frost overcomes magical resistance.
It doesn't say that in the spell, but
I mean, it is magical, and it's doing, because most of the time when you're talking about overcoming magical resistances, it's the only thing that says anything about being magical or non-magical is bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. So it's whenever you take bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, then this will overcome that. I don't think you need that verbiage in here yet. If you set this up and just basically say the cold damage, you just get to add cold damage, but not make it magical.
Yeah.
You get to add cold damage. You just make your sword extra freaking cold. The people will be resistant to your original slashing damage, but they will not be resistant to the cold damage that you do.
Because essentially, it does have the same effects as Ray of Frost, but the idea is that it's basically getting an attack and a cantrip off at the same time.
Yes.
But you're also getting all of the melee damage through with the use of the cantrip, not... Because again, normally the cantrip would go through the magical resistance and the cold resistance and only do the cold damage in the 10 feet. But this is allowing the weapon to also do all of that, do the damage and go through the resistances. I think where now that I read the cantrip, I see where Pokeniner is coming from. I think for me, a lot of it is getting to overcome like magical resistance that quickly. And yeah, just being able to just out the gate, not only overcome magical resistance,
I will say, and to
keep it up this permanently.
Anybody who is a spellcaster, anybody who has any cantrips that are damage dealing cantrips, overcomes magical resistances out the gate.
Right.
It's magic. You can be level 1 and be overcoming magical resistance as a wizard, just being able to cast Firebolt, right? Or Eldritch Blast, or whatever the case may be. So I understand why there are some, but I do think that there is something to be said for the characters that aren't wizards, because I think that's part of what makes being a wizard awesome and allows the drawbacks of being a wizard to balance out everything else that you get. Yes, I do get to overcome these magical resistances from level 1, but I'm also a squishy wizard. I also have very limited things that I get as I level up. Like, there's a lot of gaps, and so there's a lot of balance that occurs in those elements, which is why being able to overcome those things, being able to have those extra features that these wizards have, because as a ranger, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get multi-attack, right? And if I get multi-attack, and this is what a cantrip does, I automatically get to cast 2 cantrips in a turn with this. Now, granted, I'm not getting the cold slowing, but I'm still getting the damage every time. Every time I hit, I'm still getting that extra damage. I'm still doing all the other elements that's here. With this, I'm still getting to do that multiple times. And so I think that there is something to be said for allowing, the martial classes to be martial classes, even if they get supercharged with magic, even in those elements where you are a half caster. But again, even just being a regular ranger, your castingness isn't the focus. Yeah, you can cast what's the thing that they always freaking use? You cast it on them and you get an extra d6 of damage or whatever. Hunter's Mark. You cast Hunter's Mark all the time, right? That's magic that you're using, but the bow that I'm using is not necessarily a +1 bow, or overcoming magical resistance is just because
it's
I'm doing it.
Right. And
that,
okay, I see where you're coming
spell
from.
that I cast, yeah, it does extra damage every time I hit them. And that extra damage that it does is theoretically magical because it's from a spell, but I'm still a martial class and I'm still doing martial things. And my extra attack with my bow is specific. I think Hunter's Mark only triggers once per turn. It might be every turn, but I think it's only once per turn.
Yeah.
So I would say that there's something to be said for, because when I look at this list, I very much agree. Like, this is a lot of things for just being, and yes, they are all things that other classes would get at this level, if not earlier. But it's all of those things,
right? And now I'm starting to understand your lot, because that's where I was like for me, just overcoming magical resistance out the gate is always just something that I feel is just difficult to really accept narratively, because again, low level is supposed to have those struggles. I don't like the idea that we try to make the low levels overcome those challenges, because then what's the point? Why not just start at level 10 if we're not going through those trials and tribulations of working up to being able to handle a creature that's magical, right? So I think that's where my initial hesitation, but again, I wasn't quite sure, especially like after reading, Ray of Frost. It's kind of like I see why there isn't really a huge threat there, but it still seems like, for just in general, it still seems like a lot, because there is still action economy to consider, right? Yes, Ray of Frost is a cantrip, but that's a different action economy than being able to do a melee attack and get the cantrip benefits off, right? So I see the logic there too. So I'm wondering if this would benefit, because it's such early on. I wouldn't mind this looking exactly like this and even a little bit more powerful later. So what if, because kind of like what we did with the Rune Knight, and what I vaguely remember when we did the Rune Knight Warlock sublet and subclass.
Mm-hmm.
What if these were representative of the different runes? Because you're a half caster and you've only learned it partially. So what if when you activated this, each of these bullet points was an option? You could make your weapon overcome magical resistance. You can make your weapon do cold damage, or you can make your weapon slow the enemy. So what if activating the rune gave you the choice of one of these 3 effects based on the situation you were in? And later down the road, you can activate more than one effect at a time, eventually allowing you to basically just, do it all. But at level 3, would there be a justification to say?
I would say I'm okay with that if the cold damage is all the time, and I can choose from the rest of them. Because
interesting.
Because thinking about it the other way around, why would I do anything other than do more damage? Like, I don't want one choice to be like crazy obvious and like I'm going to use this every single time, no matter what.
Actually, I could give you a reason for that later in the campaign. Because while the cold damage only upgrades once, yes, I could do an extra 8d d8 cold damage. But if they have 100 hit points and I could slow them down so everyone gets a hit on them, that's different than me only doing an extra d8. Because that could end up being an extra 10 d8 if I slow them.
Yes.
So that's my only justification, is that's one of those ones where it changes versatility based on what and how you're fighting.
And I do get that. I was gonna say, because I even heard you say it as you were reading it, it only upgrades once. Like, I'm thinking that it would be, again, with some of the balancing
several times.
What was that?
Ray of Frost upgrades several times.
Ray of Frost, well, all cantrips upgrade. I think it's at 5, 10, and 15, and you just add an entire additional dice, not just increase the size of the dice. So
yeah.
It might be 5, 11, and 17.
That's what it is. Yeah, 5, 11, 17, D8, 2D8, 3D8, 4D8.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would play with the balancing a little bit. I like the idea of choosing, but I also kind of like the idea of it being limited and then added on as you go. Like, once you hit level 7, you get another one.
Even if it was just one of those things, yeah, where every couple of levels it was just a bullet point when using Runic Wrath,
you now get
one more ability activates at a time until eventually you just have them all.
Sure.
Like, I wouldn't mind this being at level 10, you've just unlocked all of these.
Imagine if they were all choices and then it just be like at level 7, you can have 2 choices active at a time.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
That's what I mean. It's like the idea is just whenever you activate this, you just keep on activating more and more. Now, granted, it's kind of that concept of like, what's the point of having the choice if I'm only going to do damage? But to me, and this was funny, this is actually very reminiscent of a conversation we had 2 or 3 weeks ago when we did that little tangent about like my realization about how you and I approach the game differently. This is another one of those concepts of being from 2 different editions, being from 2 different approaches. Yes, there's that mindset of why would I ever, choose anything other than damage, especially early on. But like, for me, that's only from the mindset of someone who the whole point is it needs to die. We're in combat, it needs to die, and the sooner it's dead, the better.
This is very true.
But for me, like, that's just not how, like, that's just not really how combat works in my brain.
You're trying to do. And to be honest, I feel like just overall more combat should look like that. But I always want to, and it's not like equally valuable all the time, but in their respective situations, I want each choice to feel equally valuable.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the mentality that I want to have when I'm talking about that.
And that's why something like, not like if that were changed to like you reduce their movement to 0, that would be a hugely different choice than just getting an extra D8.
Sure.
Or overcoming magical resistance.
100%.
Right? Because again, the idea of choosing between overcoming magical resistance or doing 8d cold damage is whether or not you're dealing with something that has that immunity. And if you don't have the overcome immunity just yet, it's one of those things that I feel like would build a little bit better if you had all of these choices, and the choices may be a little bit heftier. Right?
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm leaning on this, is I always like a healthier progression, but now that I've heard your full argument, I do think I'm going to take your side over Pokeniner's. I was kind of leaning with Pokeniner because of Ray of Frost, but when it really comes down to it, it is basically a workaround to get both a melee attack and a cantrip all at once. And even though Pokeniner made the point of view of Rangers really only get 2 attacks, it's like, yes, but they're not a fighter. That's why they only get 2 attacks. And if you're trying to turn a Ranger into a fighter, I don't know if doing it through their magic is the way, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like a very unique way to do it, and I don't think it's the right way to do it.
I get, because I would ask, okay, when it comes to comparatively how other Ranger classes are going to progress, is this Ranger class going to feel so much more powerful with every hit that they do than every other Ranger class, right? And again, they can be doing, average-ish stuff that other people are doing. And yes, it's you only get 2 attacks. Sure, I'm not going to be spamming this out the wazoo unless I dip 2 levels into fighter and get action surge. But
gotcha.
Even if I only do 2 attacks a turn, is that going to feel way more applicable than any other ranger choice? Because again, granted, I will say this was created likely for a what was it, a competition or a specific campaign like vibe and setting, and maybe all of the other classes that were available, all the other subclasses for all the classes that were available felt on par with this, and that can be very valid. But
right,
I don't want this to look like, okay, again, did Pokeniner ever respond whether this was meant for ranged weapons too?
I
don't know if I missed
so.
That, but
it just says weapon attack, so there is no.
Yeah, it doesn't specify. So if it is meant to be used for, again, anything, being able to do this so well, I feel like other rangers would feel dwarfed, would feel very outshined. And like my ranger can't do anything nearly that powerful at level 3, right?
Yeah.
Nearly that. There's no way I can keep up. Like maybe.
Well, it's kind of what you said. It's that all at once aspect. Like these are all features that you could see elsewhere, but not in such a big package right out the gate. Like, and I think that's all. That's all it is.
Sure.
None of these are an issue altogether. It's just that essentially you're saying that the very first fight, I'm basically the strongest in the party.
Sure.
With this one attack, because it kind of does feel that way. There's, this is on par, with like a barbarian raging and critting kind of thing. Like, I'm just trying to think of like how many other people have, again, outside of min-maxing, because I don't think that way. So that's it's hard for me to think of other ways that you could equate this to that level.
Because I think if we're gonna just say this is basically Ray of Frost, I would ask, how would this class look different if instead of this ability, you just said they could cast Ray of Frost? How different would this class look and feel, and how effective would they be if I just gave you the cantrip Ray of Frost instead of this ability?
Interesting.
I feel like doing that,
you would lose the magical weapon. You would lose the magical weapon and the aspect that it makes your weapon your focus.
Yes.
That's about it.
But if I was going to take a turn as this creature, or I was going to take a turn as a creature that had a regular sword and the cantrip Ray of Frost, I'm a 3rd level runic fighter. How much damage output is one going to have versus the other? How much more effects am I going to be able to inflict on an opponent in one round versus the other? Right? With one, yes, if I cast Ray of Frost instead of attacking with my weapon, I will overcome resistances and I will slow you 10 feet, just like I would be able to do here. I will not be doing any extra damage with my weapon. And what's the and that weapon's damage won't be what do you call it? It won't be magical, like you said. So if I do that, am I just going to be casting Ray of Frost every round? Ray of Frost, Ray of Frost, Ray of Frost. Is that what that character would look like if I just gave you the Ray of Frost spell? I'm just using that as my sword swing. It's always ranged. It's always, so this is just basically saying I can cast Ray of Frost in melee range if I attach it to a melee weapon, and I can cast it at range if I don't, right? So like that would be an additional element of flexibility that you have with this build that you wouldn't have with a somebody casting Ray of Frost, because Ray of Frost is a ranged spell. If you cast it within 5 feet of somebody, you're at disadvantage. Any ranged attack, including ranged spell attacks.
Okay.
So the versatility is increased, and again, none of this is bad in and of itself, but it's how much does that ability add value to what we're able to do here, and how much of that should come at a cost.
So I don't know if you're keeping up with Pokeniner in chat. Pokeniner, I'm kind of having a hard time following you in terms of what you're saying here, because like I'm gonna go over some of like the bullet points that you've said, and this is kind of where I'm a little bit confused, right? Because we know that this thing is meant to be ranged and melee, but he wants a melee focused, ranger, right? We want this to be melee focused.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, like he wanted to like make a melee focused character, right? But saying that this is supposed to upgrade the damage output a little bit because rangers only get 2 attacks. So the extra damage on multiple attacks isn't supposed to be that high. So that's the idea. It's supposed to balance it out.
I don't mind the extra damage.
But Pokeniner also mentions on a comment that I had made that we're not trying to turn this into a fighter. The goal is to show power of the rune. It's aimed at initiating, showing the rune's effects and aiming at a challenge, slowing down enemies to keep them within distance, chipping them down, breaking past enemies. It's designed to have, basically using something that was designed for a different purpose or in a different way, but then says that the damage isn't really the goal. The goal is containment. The damage is just things that rangers get, but then goes on to say the main goal of this is to challenge something and get in its face 1v1. If this isn't a fighter, but it's supposed to be for melee and to challenge something and get in its face, but we're not being a fighter, but you want to do a lot of damage, but you also want to contain it, but we're only slowing it 5 feet. I don't know to be completely honest, these are the bullet points I'm getting, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I want to challenge something. I want to be in its face. I want to do damage, but damage isn't the point. I want to slow it down and keep it at distance, but I want to challenge it 1v1 face to face. I don't know what the purpose of this ranger is anymore. Like I think that's my problem is I think for me, this is doing so much that I don't even know why I'm doing it. I think what I would like to see here, not only at 3rd level, but just for lore, is I would like to see these like shifted up. Have the rune be the focus, but again, have those runes each do something a little bit different, right? Have one rune overcome magical resistance with whatever weapon you're having.
Like each one of the things would be a different rune.
Yeah, and then another one does cold damage. So one's just overcoming magical resistance, one's cold damage specifically, and then one being like reducing their speed. Like, because at the point is containment. I don't know if 10 speed is nice, but it's not super devastating. And if the whole point is to get in someone's face and 1v1 them, I don't know if 10 feet, like, again, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of keeping them at distance, but I don't know.
Maybe it's just, because contain, again, if you're trying to get in its face and you're trying to contain them, then I would assume that means you're trying to contain them in your face, meaning keep them away from your allies, meaning keeping them from running away. So maybe there's a caster in the back and I hit you with this. And so now it's harder for you to get outside of my range. Because if you try and run away from me, not only do I get an opportunity attack, but I can also chase you down when it is
right. And that's what I'm thinking, right?
So like, yeah, if that's what I'm trying to do, I totally get that, right? Give this weapon the ability to slow down your enemies and continue to do stuff like that. Great. But doing that on top of doing more damage to them, on top of I 100% get what the idea is. Yes, it's like, okay, I want to, because you're giving me heavy armor, you're increasing my AC, you're making my attacks be a little bit stronger. It's almost like you're kind of doing a ranger tank build, kind of, right? Like, no, you're not doing like massive smite damage, but you're doing a little bit more damage than you would be doing otherwise. And you're making yourself a threat while also making yourself somewhat harder to hit. Right. So if that's what we're trying to do, if we're trying to be, bulky, beefy, I'm scary thing, I'm going to take down giants, I'm going to take down really big, scary things.
Yeah.
Cool. And
even Pokeniner is saying, so this is meant to be all melee. So none of this is meant to be at ranged. Right. Okay. So if the whole point is to basically, their idea is you're supposed to use this to basically take the focus of one enemy so the rest of your party can go attack the rest of the other enemies,
basically taking the aggro.
So you're a tank fighter, like again, so I guess I'm just losing kind of like, I'm trying to think of, if I were going to take this on, what is my role in the party other than solo tanking a single thing? Like, that's kind of where I'm just kind of confused at, is this whole thing is supposed to just make me focus on one enemy, which is nice and situational and all, but is a ranger really going to be able to handle that? I mean, Pokeniner said something about, you know, their spells here, but I mean, Armor of Agathis, like,
Armor of Agathis is cool.
It's going to give you a little bit of extra time there, but these two aren't going to help you in that kind of a one-on-one combat, and not until 13th or 17th level. You know, like, I'm just,
especially at first level, Armor of Agathis is not going to do a whole lot. You get 5 temporary hit points, and it does some damage when somebody.
But Pokeniner giving heavy armor, like, what are we getting? An extra 2 AC out of that? And there's other ways, like Kage said in the beginning, there's so many other ways that I could have boosted my AC with other, you know, like, I'm just saying, like, my biggest thing right now so far is I'm not understanding the role this particular build is meant to play in a party. You know what I mean? It seems like it is not trying to do everything. It just tries to seem like it's doing a lot, but I would not know for me, I just wouldn't know how to play this effectively. I really wouldn't know I wouldn't know why I'm selecting this other than it does a lot of damage with a melee attack. Because I don't see it. I don't see the intent for some reason. I know we're still early. I mean, we haven't even gotten beyond level 3, but I'm just trying to understand, starting out, where does this put me, like you said, with the rest of the team? When you take
this at level 3, I feel like, especially for any sort of subclass that we're taking, this should set the tone for the type of player that you're gonna be throughout, right?
Okay.
You know, and then whatever you get on top of it should build on that.
And Pokeniner saying this is supposed to be like in terms of my question for the role, like, what role is more like a paladin's role? So it is going to be kind of like a tank.
Yes.
It's going to be much more of a tank from a ranger point of view.
Yeah. Not necessarily doing massive damage, but just.
So maybe that's where I'm also getting confused, is if you are kind of, you know, trying to aggro a single target, why be a ranger? Like, what are we getting? Because again, we're now a melee ranger. So what? So maybe that's the other thing too, is what are we really getting out of the ranger? It's aside from lore. And then the magic, I guess. Like,
I mean, but again, paladins get the same half-caster magic that they would get. So I'll say this: like, I kind of look at it similarly to subletting subclasses. It's like, if there were a ranger, right? Because a lot of, like, the primary thing about rangers is a lot of them, one of their main features is like favored foe, or at least back in the day it was. And so a lot of them are like hunters, bounty hunters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was a ranger that what they did was go fight giants.
That's what I was kind of expecting from this. Yeah.
And so if that's the case, how would you have to be able to be in order to go fight giants? Would you be able to go fight giants in leather armor? Would you be able to go, or would you be the type of ranger that was like, all right, yes, I could do it in leather armor, which is, you still can theoretically here if you wanted to choose that, but you have the ability to rock and like handle a hit from one of these giants that could potentially come and swing down on you. So like, I get the idea of wanting to like beef yourself up and be the thing that it's like, all right, I can take a few hits, especially if I'm not fighting giants, if I'm fighting regular other humanoids. Yeah, I can stand in the mix, in the thick of things, and I can handle more. And I can imagine that a ranger would do that in a scenario like that specifically, if that's what they're all about. And especially if they got a lot of their fighting tactics from the giants that they face, because those giants, they're not blocking, they're not dodging, they're tanking, they're taking the hits because I'm big, I'm beefy, and I can handle it, and I'm gonna just punch you back.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to understand now. Okay, so without changing too much, I still would cast my vote that this should be split up, I think, a little bit more in terms of choices. I just think it's a little bit all at once. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a lot. I think even just breaking it up into choices.
I love the choices idea.
My second option would almost be, because because I love the idea of like this control, right? You're basically trying to focus control on the enemy. Like my other option would be like being able to essentially use the runes, kind of like you were saying with Hunter's Mark, right? For being able to kind of like a stack like Hunter's rune on them. So like every time you hit an enemy, you would give them, you know, a mark. And let's say you had only so many that you could give out.
Sure.
But each mark would have one of two effects. It would slow them by 10 feet, or it would deal them an extra 1d8 cold damage whenever they were attacked. And let's say you could put like up to 3 of these on this person. So you could slow them up to 30 feet with after 3 successful hits, or stack 3d8 anytime someone does damage to them.
Again, I wouldn't allow it to stack at 3rd level, but I love the idea of inflicting the abilities on the enemy like that. So like I hit you, and again, no matter how many times I hit you, at the very least at 3rd level, you get slowed 10 feet if I use this rune on you. Yeah. Right? Another one would be, I love the idea of anytime you get hit while you have this rune attached to you, you take an additional d6 of cold damage. Yeah, exactly. I love that idea.
Because so maybe that's the idea, is just you can stack runes. So how about this? Because Pokeniner is all about control. What if you can stack runes for the slow, but whenever you have any number of runes, you also take the additional cold damage? So it's like, as long as you have a rune on you, you take an additional d6 of cold damage, but for every rune, you get slowed by an additional 10 feet. So the idea is that eventually you could just stall someone as long as you keep hitting them.
I will say the way that I would like, the way that I feel like it would make the most sense to work is the rune lasts until the start of their next turn, right? So if I hit you with the rune, that rune's going to be on you until the start of your next turn, and then it fades, right? So if I hit you with the extra damage rune, everybody that hits you, you're taking extra damage until the start of your next turn. So it's not like, especially again, because we're trying to do this at 3rd level. So if it comes to the slow rune, I hit you with the slow rune, that's only going to stay on you until the start of your next turn. So if I hit you with it again, you'll get it again, but it won't be stacking on top of the other one because that one is faded by now.
Yeah.
Now, if I get multi-attack, then I can hit you with 2 runes, right? So the question is, at level 5, am I okay with you being slowed 20 feet instead of 10? I still think that's kind of a lot. Like, maybe...
But again, think about how most people, especially like DMs, play the game. If you get slowed by 20 feet, you're going to metagame that and go, it's not even bother moving. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're playing a heavy lore, you know, concept, you're probably going to have a DM who, if you're going to slow them 20 of the 30 feet, they're not even going to bother trying to get away. Because they're going to move 5 feet, get attacked, move 5 feet, stop, and then you're going to catch up. So there is a psychological game there where if you choose to do something 20 feet, you're basically stopping.
Yeah. And again, that's kind of like, is it too powerful for me to be able to do that at 5th level?
But that's your whole deal, though. If your whole deal is locking someone in, and that is your specialty, you know, we're ignoring like the idea of doing all this extra damage. It's just the specialty is you do not move. If you want to attack someone, you attack me because you and me are face to face. Like, that's what I'm thinking of, is if the whole idea is to lock them down.
I'm not opposed to it. I just feel like this early, you're already slowing them. I would feel more comfortable with seeing that at level 10.
Gotcha.
I would feel more comfortable seeing that at level 10. Maybe, I was going to say maybe even level 7 when you get their next ability, but...
I mean, that was just a side idea I had, just because I'm trying to like think of other ways that I would do it. But like I said, I think in general, I think the idea of being able to, you know, enact a rune, I think it should just have choices, at least this early. I think it should be more of, you just don't get everything activated all at once. You know what I mean? It just seems like...
Yes, that is genuinely pretty much my only critique about this so far, is that this particular first ability, everything that you get with it feels like way too much for a 3rd level ability.
Yeah, and we still don't know how it's going to stack with the other ones, so we'll see if we go back on that and say, hey, with the rest of it, it does fit. But yeah, at first look, it just seems like I would like that rune to have an option.
And I do believe that there are a good number of ways that this could be balanced as a result of that. So a lot of the suggestions that we've had, or a plethora of other ways, but yeah, that's my initial instinct, especially like if I'm a DM saying whether I'm going to allow this in my game or if I'm,
And just in general, I will say, just again, knowing what the intent is from Pokeniner, I will say as a player, as someone just kind of like, looking this over, I'm not getting the feeling that my job is to lock down a single character and basically hold it off while everyone takes care of the rest. Like, it's just not what I'm getting if that's the intent, and that could just be my misinterpretation, of the intent. Sure. It's been a long time since I've, looked at 5th edition from the concept of a player. Sure. So that's just my disconnect with it. But that's kind of where I'm going with it, is like, now that I understand what I'm trying to do, I don't really see it in this. It just seems like,
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the protector role. It seems more like, we're just trying to sling damage. And again, now that I know that it's not meant to be from range, it's even more of but we're not being a fighter, so we are being more of that, tanky paladin. So yeah, it's an interesting approach, and I'm not seeing the build just yet, but we'll see if we see that throughout the other abilities, because we still have 7th, 11th, and 17th, or 14th, something like that. All right, so Snow Shroud, level 7. So at the 7th level, the Heartless Spirit of the Giants defends you in supernatural ways. You gain resistance to cold damage and can cast Armor of Agathis spell as a bonus action. So I love that bonus action option.
I do.
In addition, when a creature makes an attack and hits you while you have temporary hit points from Armor of Agathis spell, all attack rolls made against you have disadvantage until the end of that turn, as the frost from the spell shrouds your presence temporarily. That's kind of cool. Armor Agathis basically gives you or imposes disadvantage.
Melee attack speed against you.
That's kind of cool.
It's almost like a little mirror image type deal.
Yeah. See, I like that. I really like that. Honestly, too.
I do like that a lot.
Honestly, I kind of wouldn't have minded getting cold resistance in replace of some of this up here. Like, I wouldn't have minded maybe putting cold resistance early on.
I don't mind it. Again, I think that a lot of other people, you can get a resistance as a race, if you're a dragonborn or a certain tieflings and stuff like that. So getting it early isn't necessarily the problem. It's just, what else do you have too? Right. So yes, I wouldn't mind it earlier, but very much depending upon what else you also get.
It would be changed, based on what you would get. So yeah. I mean, level 7 isn't a bad time to get resistance either. That's at least it's pre-level 10, so that's good. This is the latest I would want that from this class. This is absolutely the latest I would want it. I wouldn't mind it right out the gate if the other one was reworked, but this is definitely where you want it at least.
So here's what I will say. This is something. So warlocks, whenever they cast a spell, they cast it at the highest level possible.
Yeah.
I love the fact that this is leaning in a little bit to Armor of Agathis. It's allowing you to cast it quicker, and it's allowing you to cast it more often. But because rangers are half casters, they do not get a lot of spell slots. So your spell slots are valuable. And so a lot of times people will hoard them.
Yeah.
So what I am thinking is perhaps, and maybe not at 7th level, but at some point, maybe once per day, you can cast Armor of Agathis at your highest level you can cast it for free. Once per day, you can cast it for free. And again, you can cast it as your bonus action. You can do all that. But I would love to be able to get a decent amount. I feel like every battle should start off, not every battle necessarily, but a serious battle should start off with you popping Armor of Agathis and going into battle. Right? And as long as it's up, you get that disadvantage on you, as long as you have some of those temporary hit points. But again, later on, it becomes less and less valuable if I cast it at first level. And my higher level slots are so valuable But if I'm only using it to cast this one spell, it's not like I'm spamming something else for a specific purpose. I can cast this one time. I can get its maximum effectiveness available for me. I don't even think you get 3rd level spells yet at level 7. This is probably going to be a 2nd level cast of this. So if I
mean, you could even just add verbiage that, again, a clean way of doing that is you could add verbiage that, at whatever level, starting at 10th level, at the start of initiative, you can cast Armor of Agathis for free at your highest level. So it's only at the start of initiative. So it is a battle starter, only a battle starter. And it's just kind of a way to let your character just step it up, battle. It just almost like it just happens instantaneously. Like battle happens, it's your danger sense. You're like, go.
Right.
Like it just rips on.
To be honest, I wouldn't even be mad at once per short rest.
Okay.
Because I get the battle starter, but again, depending on because I've been in combat or I've been in sessions with DMs where, like, say if you're in a dungeon and you're walking around in a maze, you find a zombie, you fight a zombie, and you kill the zombie. That ends initiative. You walk around the corner, there's another zombie. I'm starting initiative all over again. So it would depend on how your DM runs it. So like that would be why I would say something like
normally I would not say that's normally how D&D sessions are run in 5th edition, but you're absolutely right. That could get the verbiage there. I was just trying to give them once per fight. It's only at the start. Pokeniner has a good idea though. The build here was kind of a hint at having Rangers replace Hunter's Mark with something like Armor of Agathis.
Okay.
So having it have its, their own version of like their go-to signature.
Yeah. I definitely love that. But again, the way Armor of Agathis works, again, you can cast Hunter's Mark at 1st level all the time and have it be useful, right? Yes, it's not adding like a stupid amount of damage, but it's adding damage. This only having 5 temporary hit points makes a huge difference later than it does now. Like, that's literally going to be good for 1 hit and 1 hit only at later levels. Right? And like right now, like
even with the disadvantage.
Even with disadvantage, like, because if they miss, Armor of Agathis doesn't trigger. So what Armor of Agathis allows you to do is whenever you get hit with a melee attack, you do that much damage. So if I had at 1st level, when somebody hits me and I have that 5 temporary hit points, if they hit me, even if they only do 1 damage, they take 5 damage.
Yeah.
For every single time they hit me while that armor still exists. So the longer I can have that armor exist, the more damage it's doing. Right? Otherwise, it's just doing 5 damage once, and then that's it. That's what the whole spell does. It does 5 damage once, and then I need to cast it again for it to do anything else. Right? So if it lasts for a little bit longer, if it has the ability to trigger a couple of times, once or twice, maybe even 3 times.
If the rune could give Armor of Agathis the ability that when it does damage, it slows the enemy. Because it's usually only a one-time deal, like later levels. So imagine that whenever Armor of Agathis damages an enemy, their speed is slowed till like the end of their next turn or something. So basically, the armor hits them and just freezes them. It's like, nope. To the end of your next turn, that's where you're going to stand because you hit me.
Interesting.
Like that could be another way of like doing that kind of like crowd control concept.
Yes.
But I do like the idea of kind of like coming up with a way of having something different for Rangers other than just Hunter's Mark. Like having like a new go-to.
I very much like that. And I think Armor of Agathis is a really good choice for that. It's just, how do we get it to actually feel useful throughout your build? Because if you're going to use that, then it's going to, like, something that potentially could refresh your temporary hit points after they've been depleted.
Or just something that gives you more when using Armor of Agathis.
Right? Like maybe every time you do damage, you increase, you refresh your Armor of Agathis back up to its max or something. Like, I don't know, like just something to allow it to not just be there and then gone again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and tie it more into the runes, because I do like the idea that we're trying to like tie these into the runes. I know the runes are more focused on like the weapon, but it's rune magic. You can kind of work with that in terms of the build. So I like the idea here. I really I love the giving disadvantage when you have Armor of Agathis. I really do like that, but I do think Kage's right. at this stage, especially moving forward, I would want to see Armor of Agathis last longer, or be more potent, because the disadvantage is great, but if we're leaning into Armor of Agathis, I'd also like to see it.
And to be fair, I don't think that's a slight against Pokeniner. I think that's just the way the spell works.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd like to see a homebrew version where we increase the spell's abilities.
Yeah.
In order to make it the most effective.
Or have the class like manipulate that particular spell in a certain way or something, like, hey, when this becomes a ranger spell for you, it now does X, Y, and Z, or you basically replace Armor of Agathis with this new version of the spell or something like that.
Yeah, and it does go up at higher levels, but
that's high level spell slots. And as a ranger,
Pokemon saying we get 7 at this point, 7 spell slots at this point. I don't know what the highest level you can cast
at 7th level, you get 2nd level spell slots. That's it. So the most you're getting is 10 temporary hit points. 10 temporary hit points. And at 7th level, how many things are going to be doing less than 10 damage to you?
True. Yeah, so those are going to be basically there and gone.
Once, maybe 2 hits. And again, I'm pretty sure if I remember the spell correctly, it'll do 10 damage at 2nd level. But again, you only have 3 2nd level slots.
Yeah.
So you have to use one of your 3 2nd level slots in order to cast that.
Okay.
5 temporary hit points. If a creature hits you with a melee attack, while you have these hit points, the creature takes 5 cold damage. When you cast this spell slot of 2nd level or higher, both temporary hit points and the cold damage increase by 5. So every spell slot increases by 5. Once you cast it at 3rd level, you'll get it'll be 15 damage and 15 temporary hit points.
Yeah.
But again, you get 3rd level spell slots at level 9. So at level 9, maybe you're getting consistently 2 hits out of it because you have 15, but still, it's just 15.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like, I would love for maybe for whatever reason you get to double the number of temporary hit points but not the damage when you cast this spell. So at 1st level when I cast it, I get 10 temporary hit points, but it does 5 damage each time somebody hits me. At 2nd level, I get 20 temporary hit points, but it only does 10 damage every time someone hits me. Right? So
interesting.
Double the amount it's gonna last, but still only does the same amount of damage. So you're not like dramatically outpacing DPS wise, but you feel like you actually get a couple hits out of it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, people might think that that's too strong when it comes to how much temporary hit points you get, because you're basically adding 20 to your health pool every time you cast that at 2nd level, right? So is that too much? I don't know. I don't necessarily think so, especially if you are a ranger. What's a ranger's hit die? I'm pretty sure it's only a D10.
It's still pretty decent.
It's pretty decent, but I wouldn't say temporarily giving yourself some more hit points at the sacrifice of a spell slot is that crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to be more tanky. You're trying to be able to go up against giants who are doing stupid amounts of damage. I think that's a fair enough trade-off.
And Pokeniner keeps coming back to the mindset that this is supposed to, it's supposed to be a provoking kind of concept. You're supposed to be holding down an enemy's attention. So another thing that I wouldn't have minded here to stay alive longer is, I know that we're trying to it's so weird. Again, this is where I don't quite understand, because we're trying to make a strength-based non-fighter tank out of a ranger, but why not double down on the dexterity and make the AC something wicked? So your quote-unquote locking them down isn't about doing a lot of damage. It's about being annoying as hell, but unable for them to basically swat you away. So it's like you're still doing the slowing, you're still doing really annoying amounts of damage, and you're in their face getting their attention, But instead of this, you doing crap tons of damage because, waiting for your team, the idea is that you're just holding this thing's attention while they're actually doing all of the real work. And then they'll come over and help out. But we're not getting a whole lot of like movement or AC. So yes, we're getting like a few temp HP. We are getting the disadvantage, which is nice. And we are slowing them down. But we're really not survivable. Like, we're not getting anything that truly makes this Ranger face-to-face survivable like a tank. Like, Armor of Agathis is nice, but those temporary hit points, I just don't think those are going to be enough to justify, especially the idea of if you have a Paladin on your team, is that are you going to be able to hold down something as long as a Paladin could for the sake of the team, right? I'm just that's kind of where I'm at right now is I'm wondering if this idea of the types of damage that we're doing is really focused on locking down a character versus should we be more focused on keeping it in a position but keeping ourselves alive while we do it.
I'll say I don't disagree with that. The way I'm looking at it is slightly less of being a fightery version of a Paladin with some other elements. I look at more like, how would a Ranger go about this battle?
Yeah.
Right. And I can definitely see some Rangers choosing to fight a Titan in the much more dexterous way, but I wouldn't necessarily call those Tundra Titans. I wouldn't necessarily call those the types of Rangers that are made and geared for taking down these big heavy hitters like this. So while I do think that's a very valid way to approach it, I think that there still would be Rangers out there that go this sort of build. And if that's what this is meant to embody, then I do think the idea of a potentially higher AC, or maybe something like, I mean, you can always get the tough feat, but just like something that makes you a little bit more able to hold out for longer type deal, honestly, I wouldn't mind resistance to non-magical bludgeoning damage, just because you're probably gonna get hit with a bunch of like clubs and other implements like that. Most giants aren't using swords. Sure. Right, most giants aren't using things like that. They're probably going to use like smashing weapons or something to that nature. So I could see something like that. I definitely love cold damage, obviously, because we're Tundra, but like, anything to make you more resilient in the face of these particular creatures, and anything to make you survive longer so that you can do more of what you're trying to do up there. So
gotcha.
That's why I don't mind extra temporary hit points, mostly because they're temporary. It's what do you call it? You're making yourself seem bigger, larger, beefier, but you're really just a Ranger.
Yeah.
Right? You're really just, you're not a fighter. You're not a barbarian. You are doing your best to fill that role in a way that a Ranger would. But this is the best way that we know how. This is how we would embody that versus somebody else. I lightweight look at it like a subletting subclass. Like, we're trying to find giant fighters in Rangers. Like,
right. Okay. Interesting. Good points. Again, this is just an area that this is one of those areas where I feel like this build is very much reminiscent of 5th edition encounter style, which is just
sure
that's really where this is testing me in a lot of different ways, because I can talk about lore all day long, but when it really comes down to it, this is just not the way that I look at combat. So it like, again, my biggest concern right now, or my biggest like thing, is I see the individual pieces and how they're fine, like at the levels that they are, like there's nothing out of balance here, but kind of like what Pokeniner is saying, that there's other ways that we could make this into his intent. But it's kind of like what we've talked about, where if I have to know all of those other options to make this work for as intended, then I don't really know if this is truly a complete subclass. Because again, like from a player point of view, I wouldn't read this and go, oh, here's all of the feats and other stuff so I could be this lockdown, tank of a Ranger. I just don't see this as the natural build for this. And if that's it, right? If you need all of these very specific other pieces to make this build work, that's, I think, where I'm misconstruing. I just don't see how this works without full sending into the original intent, which would basically mean that you have to do a bunch of other series of choices, which means that this isn't as versatile of a subclass.
You talking about like picking your making your strength like your highest, like choosing certain feats.
Yeah, like defense, like Pokeniner was saying, like, having like choosing a shield, whether or not you're gonna have a shield, whether or not you're gonna do a defensive, a defensive fighting style.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, all of those things could make that work, but in my opinion, but from my perspective, as again, and this is my limited aspect as a 5th edition player, as a player, I'm not seeing that as the road that this is going to take me. So if I don't have that as an idea, that's where I don't see what to do with this unless I know here's a suggested list of all the things that would go along with it to make this the perfect build, right?
Sure.
And that's where because I don't play like that. I don't play with the min-maxy idea of I now know what the subclass is, so let me beef it up the best way I can.
Sure.
So that's where it loses me because I don't approach builds like that. And that's just a completely different, that's just more of an opinion. That has nothing to do with anything, like right or wrong. It's just the way that I approach like how I would normally do a character.
Sure.
So reading through this, I'm just not seeing it, which is why I'm struggling to like make those connections that you are, because I'm just like I don't know what this is supposed to tell me. Your job is to make sure this guy doesn't move until reinforcements come in.
Sure.
I'm trying to keep that in my head, and I just don't see that connection being made. But again, it maybe that's just also not my playstyle.
Sure.
So maybe I'm just
and that's
not
very valid.
I'm not used to being that defending type. I don't play tanks. I don't play paladins. So it may just be also beyond my grasp of what I would expect to need in order to play that kind of a character.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my buddies over the weekend, and we were talking about like different video game styles and how one of the things that I look at in video game style is the best word I know how to use is the pace of the game.
Yeah.
Like, is it a really fast-paced game where stuff's happening all over the place, or is it a really slow-paced game where it's a lot of timing and precision and all this extra stuff? Like, so, there's different game styles that are more effective, and even within those games, like thinking about Marvel Rivals, like Magneto is a much slower character than somebody like Blade, right?
Yeah.
Like he's going to be running all over the place doing hits really, but Magneto is just goosh.
Yeah, so knowing where to aim, how to aim, like again, some people aren't going to know how to make that build work if they're not used to that game.
Very much so.
And I think that's where that's probably more or less what's happening here is I'm not used to being a character that would do that, and I'm also not used to the standard way that a 5th edition encounter would be set up. So for me, I'm just not seeing the path to the intent.
Sure.
And for me, especially when I look at 5th edition, because the way it's designed, I'm always looking for the show me what you should be telling me. The subclass should be very much telling me, what it does, how it does it. And that's where I'm just like, I don't know that that's what this is doing. Like Pokeniner is telling me that, and I'm trying to see it that way.
Sure.
But I'm not being able to make that connection.
It's not telegraphing that to you in its contents necessarily.
All right, we got 2 more though. All right, so at 11th level we have Titan Grasp. At 11th level, your study of the giants have given you the ability to shape your hands of frost to drag your foes into combat regardless of the distance. Once per turn, when you take the attack action, you can enhance one of those attacks to form a hand of frost to drag the target closer. The attack gains the following benefits. The range of the attack increases to 30 feet. On hit, the target must succeed a strength saving throw against your spell save DC. On failure, the creature falls prone and is dragged towards you in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of you. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a short or long rest.
Short or long rest, okay. These probably should have been bullet points too. So you get range attack. The range of the attack increases. So is this a unique attack, or is this an attack with your weapon?
Well, it just says so when you take the attack action. So because before your abilities weren't at range, this one now is. So now as far as I'm concerned, as long as the attack action can hit someone within range of 30 feet, this can trigger.
Yes, but so my question would be, it's one of your attacks. So say if I take the attack action and I get multi-attack and I have 2, only one of them is going to be able to do this. It increases the range of the attack. But again, I'm curious if that attack is its own. So when you take certain races, you get a regular attack, an attack like a claw attack or a bite attack or something.
Mm-hmm.
That is its own attack. It has its own damage die. It has its own. Is this its own attack? Or are you saying that this hand that I created is now holding my weapon?
No, it's not. So Pokeniner is saying it's not a unique attack. So when you take the attack action, whatever attack that attack is can now go up to 30 feet.
Okay.
So like your melee attack will go up to 30 feet using this ability.
So if I'm holding a longsword, I am going to hit you with my longsword at 30 feet.
And then do this.
Yes.
And knock them prone and drag them directly to you.
So must succeed a strength saving throw. Spell save DC. So the way that I feel like lore-wise, I feel like this should work is I feel like it should be its own attack. Gotcha. Because especially if, say I do have a longsword in my hand and I want to hit you with that attack. Number one, if I don't, it says only one of my attacks can do this, right? If I don't have a shield in my other hand and say I'm two-handing this longsword, do I get the two-handed attack, or is only one of my hands out there so I can only do a one-handed attack at range?
Oh,
right?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Number two, if I am pulling you and dragging you, what's doing the pulling and the dragging? Is it this hand that I created?
Yes.
Because if it is that hand that I created, it's that one hand is also holding my sword. So am I dropping the sword so that I can grab you and pull you? Like,
so it's not your hand, it's like an ethereal hand.
It's an ethereal hand, sure. But is the ethereal hand holding my weapon? Because the weapon just doing
right? How did the weapon get out there to do the damage?
Is so the hand coming from the weapon?
I kind of like your idea of this is in replace of one of your attacks. I wouldn't mind if this just did a flat cold damage, like a D10 of cold damage, and then did this, because then you at least now have a up to 30-foot range attack as one of your two options, and then the double attack. Doing T10 of damage, dragging them within 5 feet of you.
And now you have a prone target to have advantage on?
And insta-crit. Well, not insta-crit, because that's only when they're unconscious. But just like that to me is the whole thing. The enemy tries to get away from you, like the whole point is locking him down. That's you're not going away. Get over here, slap, stay on the ground.
Yep.
That should be the combo.
That's what I genuinely believe that's what the intent is. It just feels weird that if I'm trying to visualize this is more lore wise than mechanic wise. Mechanic wise, it can do whatever it wants. Like
but even Pokeniner is saying the ethereal hand doesn't do the attack you are. So what you're basically saying is, how does my dagger, how does my sword, how does my broadsword go 30 feet, make the attack, get back to me, and then they get dragged? Because the ethereal hand is only doing the dragging. It's not doing the attacking, it's not holding your sword, and it's not you. So you make a melee attack, but it goes up to 30 feet.
So is it like a sword disc or something? Like swipe my sword,
and that's what I'm thinking. It's like, I like your idea that this was just its own attack, like it's a new attack you can do.
Sure.
It does its own damage, but it also does the prone thing. That would be a great one to attack, because if you have something right in front of you, you're just going to swing it twice. But if it tries to get away, being able to drag it back and then get advantage right afterwards, that concept of you are locking this thing down and it can't get away, that sounds way more like what it should be doing. Because I don't understand. I'm kind of with you on this one. I'm having a hard time understanding when the range of the attack increases to 30 feet. So yeah, if I'm doing a melee weapon, how are we saying I'm attacking at 30 feet? Like, it is just, I don't know how that would be explained. But the ethereal hand is fine. I totally like the ethereal hand. I just kind of like the idea of being able to drag them over and then slap them on the ground.
Very much so.
Like, that just sounds cool.
In my head, I envision it either like you have this hand that like grows out of your back like from Elfin Lied, or you have like a stand like from JoJo that like just appears behind you and just like does this giant smash and then drags you and then just fades off into the distance or whatever. Like either way it works. Like I imagine just a slam knocks him down and then you drag him your way.
Okay,
right?
but I'm sorry, Pokeniner, you keep I'm sorry, but tonight you really keep kind of contradicting yourself. So you said before the ethereal hand isn't doing the attack. You just typed that, but now you're saying that you visualize the hand taking the form of a snow sword and doing the attack. So
it's not a hand, it's a sword.
So this again, I'm just like it's just I feel like I'm getting confused because you say, well, we're not making a fighter, but you're going to be up in their face. It's not a range attack with the hand, but the hand turns into a sword and does the range attack. This is what I mean by I'm getting lost on what exactly this is. Now,
so I think he's saying that he noted your point and is making an adjustment.
Oh, okay.
He's noting your point and he's like, okay, now I'm visualizing X, Y, and Z.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to make sure I'm keeping it because this is where I'm I'm trying to take in all the details so I can put it into view. And I'm just like, I keep getting lost.
We got it. We're tracking.
So that's okay. So again, I think the best solution would be to just add this as its own attack, because if I don't need it, then I'm just going to swing my 2. But to now have, as a melee ranger, to now have my own ranged or distanced attack, that I like. I just like that idea. And we are all, we already have the ability. We talk about Ray of Frost, or Ray of Frost. Mm-hmm. It could just do that damage equal to the level that you're at. I mean, level 11. That would have been what, 2d8 by now for a Ray of Frost? 3d8 at level 11. So you could say that this hand is the upgrade of it's basically like, Hand of Frost, where it grabs them, does that 3d8, and then they make the strength check to be dragged. That would be fine, because if that's like another spell or just an attack you can do, again, that's the great 1-2 combo. But if you don't have it, at that point, you're still doing you're still going to be...
The only reason I would make it 2d8 just because of all the additional stuff that it does, because it drags them towards you, and because you already have a secondary attack.
Okay, so the original design was that it was a melee spell attack that had range, so it was its own thing. Okay, and but the payoff being that it needed a spell slot to be repeated. So yeah, so again, like I don't mind that if this was just a new spell you got, or I mean, even if it was one of these things where it's like you can do this once for free and then it requires a spell slot after that.
Sure.
Why not that? Like you could do this once per long rest for free, and then it requires a spell slot.
So it says you can do this using your proficiency bonus. Okay, I was curious about that because it says you can do this once per turn, which means I could do it every turn. But if there's a limit on how many times I can do it, that's totally chill.
But again, if you're gonna have like 2 attacks, and so I can do a spell and an attack, if this is basically I can do this once and then I can just burn a spell slot. If this is the spell I want to use, why wouldn't I burn it? Again, I'm doing damage and I'm bringing the thing back to me, keeping it stun locked that whole time. I'm just basically keeping it within my zone.
Sure.
I love that. Okay, so overall, I love the idea. I love the idea of this hand going out and making them prone. All in all, I just need verbiage cleaned up on how it's doing the attack.
Sure.
That's my only thing. Just the verbiage. I don't understand how it's attacking, but I just in general the idea
mechanically it's fine.
Bringing them here. Yes. I personally would just make it its own attack, give it its own damage, cold damage.
Sure.
And then just leave it at that, because again, that concept.
It's just a multi-attack, and so if I can just replace, just like you can replace one of your multi-attacks with a grapple attack, I can replace one of my multi-attacks with X attack. Like it's not crazy.
I mean, I wouldn't even mind. I mean, I know it's grass, but I wouldn't even mind if you had the option to push or pull.
It'd be interesting. Shove them off like a cliff or something like that.
It also didn't let players use their runic weapon. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I would also say this isn't using your runic weapon. But again, if it is using your runic weapon, then you get all of the runic weapon abilities, including when you knock them prone, if you did hit them with your runic weapon and knocked them prone and did all this stuff, then their speed would be decreased by 10. So they would have less speed to get up. Now, granted, if you pull them towards you and hit them with your runic weapon, this is the exact same thing that's going to be true, but you'll have had to use both attacks to do that instead of just the one. I mean,
that could be another thing too. The Titan's of Grass could be its own rune. Like, you know, when you activate this rune, until the start of your next turn, there's this spectral hand that you can use as one of your attacks. So again, kind of the thing where in the beginning, if you use it to attack, it will stay up for another round. And it will only go away if you don't use it for another attack or if you don't burn another rune.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those, like I love the idea. I just think that I need to understand how it does damage better. And I think I would implement it differently, but overall, cool idea.
I love the ability. Yes.
Yeah. They're just dragging them over to you. Because knocking people prone, I feel is underplayed, but there's plenty of ways to do it. I just feel like they're underutilized. But the concept of dragging people like this is definitely something you don't see very often. And at this kind of a level, like post level 10, I think that should be something that is very much more accessible to more players, right? Like, it doesn't have to be every class, but I do think this idea of being able to really abuse abilities like this, like go prone then drag, bring you into the middle of a group of people who can then just wail on you, like that's just not something that you get when you have a like a battlefield control or a crowd control kind of build. You don't get that kind of control, and I like that. I like what this is doing.
This question might be a little too pedantic, but this is always stuff that I think about. Say I am standing in a 5-foot square, and I have 2, maybe even 3 people adjacent, but there's another person behind these people that is attacking one of my allies, right? Now, I want to hit them with this Titan's Grasp ability. That person that's 30 feet away, they're within range, but I have this wall of people between me and them. It says I need to drag them into an adjacent square. The only adjacent squares around me are behind me. So, question becomes, number 1, can I choose to attack you? Can I choose to make this attack when there's people in my way? Number 2, when I drag you, would I drag you all the way around to the backside of me, or through them, or whatever the case may be, to get to an adjacent square?
Yeah.
Me? Would you have any ruling on that, or any thought on that, or?
I mean, really, I don't think, like, unless it's for the narrative, I don't ever think that when there's people adjacent to you, there's no room. Like, you know, that's a whole 5 feet between people. Like, the idea being that dragging people through a battlefield. We've seen that. Like, that's fine.
I mean,
I think it would just be a straight drag. Now, whether or not you that concept of adjacent, meaning you can drag them past you, that one might just be up to individual DM. Whether, like, the line is up to you but not beyond you,
sure.
And therefore that would not allow it. That would be a great balancing technique, is to say that if there's nothing between you and then that's adjacent, you can't use the spell. That might be a way that some DMs would choose to balance it.
Okay. Cool. Snow teleportation, wild.
But yeah, I see where you're coming from with, like, not wanting to do the whole rune giant or the whole rune night where you get a bunch of runes and you just kind of want to focus on one, which is kind of cool. Like, this would have been a great series where if you had like a rune, like a Tundra rune night, ranger,
and like a flame rune.
Yeah, like if you did that, that'd be kind of cool. But then I would like the rune to upgrade over time instead of just be like a activate one and done. You know, do those things where it would like slowly increase over time. But okay, we get final one and we get teleportation. So it's called Bitter Blessing at level 15. Let's see here. Starting at 15th level, your connection to the cold of let me restart. Starting at 15th level, your connection to the cold of the snowy lands has granted you a brief moment to mimic the might of a blizzardous titan. As a bonus action, you can undergo a titanic transformation for 1 minute, in which you gain the following features. So yeah, definitely Rune Knight feel, where you get to embody it. Let's see. So, if you are smaller than huge, you become huge, along with anything you are wearing.
Huge?
If you lack the room to become huge, your size doesn't change. So you don't even grow bigger. It's either huge or not.
Wait. So say that again?
So if you were not huge, you become huge. If you cannot become huge, you don't change at all.
Oh, so if you're in a space that's too small for a huge creature,
so you won't just become large, you just don't change.
You just okay. Got it.
If you were then huge, okay, your strength score becomes 23. It does not change if your strength score is already 23 or higher. You have immunity to cold damage. When you invoke your Rune Wrath feature, you can use your reaction to make the target's body crumble from the cold, granting them vulnerability to cold damage you deal until your Rune Wrath ends. This does not affect the creature if they are immune to cold damage. If you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Okay, so I like everything but one thing. I definitely think they should overcome immunity. Like, that's kind of, I feel like if it's immune to cold damage and it doesn't even become resistant to cold damage, it just doesn't, I don't know. I feel like at least if anything, it should do that whole thing where it just backs out.
It.
Yeah.
So I think with the way Pokeniner had set it up thus far, it says that your Runic Wrath ignores vulnerability or ignores resistance to.
Yeah.
So it's brought it to baseline. You're gonna take full damage, and now this is like, all right, now you have vulnerability to it. But the only things that don't get affected by it are things that are immune to it.
Yeah. And that's why I would. That's why I just like to back them out of make them resistant, not not immune.
I do agree. I do agree with that.
So besides that, that's my only, as it's written, that's my only issue. Okay. So you become huge, you get some strength, and you get your own immunity to cold.
How long does it last for?
As long as your Runic Wrath ends. Oh no, I'm sorry. This one is for 1 minute. This happens for 1 minute.
Okay. And I get to use this once per long rest.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I'm one of those people where I don't think it's that much of a lore break.
For what?
Pokeniner is saying that immunity breaking is scarce in 5e, which I get why 5e is scarce.
Sure.
But I don't necessarily think there's story issues with it, because I think that's the whole point of being an adventurer and capstoning is because like I've always looked at it like this, is like on a grand scheme of things, the idea of you capstoning is you becoming the next potential one of them.
Sure.
Like the idea of something that's immune to cold damage, you capstoning and bringing them from immune to resistance just shows that you're on the path to be as powerful as them. You're not just suddenly, I'm capstone, I'm better than you, but it's that whole, we're not afraid of you. Oh, you have potential. Sure. Right? Because that 20th level, right? That cap of the next step, why in High Point, the next step is immortality. The next step is ascension. Because you've proven yourself to the greater things and the beings of the world. Watch out. I have potential like you do. I'm not there yet, but I have the chance. And that's where I don't necessarily mind it when at a capstone, you start to show signs of entering a world you don't belong. Simply because that's, in my opinion, the point of adventurers. Players, that's why you're not NPCs, right? That's why you are different. Because you have that spark.
Would you say that an ability like that, again, depending on what you're doing it to, because imagine there's a demigod that's got an immunity.
Well, and again, like that's, to me, there are, like, for me, you don't get to overcome a god's immunity to something as a mortal. Like, that's something where I would break. I'm just talking about, like, a mortal creature who has immunity to cold. I think that's a line where it's like, yes, it has immunity to cold naturally.
Sure.
Or even magically.
So something like Tiamat.
It depends on if you use the god version of Tiamat or
not. Well, I mean, I don't know what the...
Because technically Tiamat's a god, so...
Is it?
Technically he is a god, so... You know, like, again,
sure.
But yes, like, my biggest thing is, like, if you're going to go up against, you know, a creature, like an actual, like, you know...
Monster manual creature.
Yeah, those are the times I don't mind breaking it. Now, yeah, if you have, like, gods and shit like that...
What about an angel? It's not a god.
I don't mind that at capstone. Again, capstone only. Those are... You have to really be breaking the bounds of what mortals can do to start to thread that needle.
Sure.
But yes, those are the kind of things that I'm much more comfortable breaking at capstones.
Out of curiosity.
Just because I think that's the whole point.
What would you say about a mantle holder? It's not a god.
Yes, depends on the power of the mantle. Yeah.
So there could be some mantles that no, you're not going to be able to do that, but others.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's just all the power struggle of what's behind it. But so yeah, I get you. If 5th edition doesn't like it as much, I think that's a failure on 5th edition's part.
Fair enough.
Okay, but again, when you're on a project, when you're doing this under, like a theme of something, the constraints are always there. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, there's no. Well, I mean, most gods don't have a stat block because there is no equivalent mortal stat block for a god, in my opinion.
Sure.
Like, the idea of a god having a stat block is whatever it chooses to be representative when it enters the mortal plane. Like, it could have a 9,000 stat block.
I will say there are a lot of avatars of things.
Well, and that's what Pokeniner was saying, is that all the stat blocks are technically their avatars. Sure. So technically, those are whatever the god wants it to be. Sure. So, that's fine. So yeah. Okay. So going back to this, I think it's great. I wouldn't mind playing a little bit with that immunity personally as a capstone. So outside of that, my only other thing is that, so it makes me big and it makes me more strong. It doesn't give me another spell. It doesn't increase my damage. Like, I kind of just, I don't want to keep saying like it needs more, but it needs just like one more thing to round it out, because I got bigger, I got stronger, and now anything that's not immune.
I love the crumble.
Yeah.
The crumble is very cool. I mean, if it's just vulnerability, I kind of want to. You know how we had what was it that Hecate created? The permafrosted condition. I kind of want something like...
you get Cone of Cold with this too.
You did Cone of Cold when you hit... Not yet. Theoretically, you don't get it to level 17 according to the...
Oh, right. Gotcha.
17. But you will get Cone of Cold, which is great. I think Cone of Cold is a perfect spell for... Like, imagine you get freaking massive and then you just drop a...
Yeah.
Stupid. It's gonna be way cool.
Another thing that this could add too, and it's small, it's super small, but some language that I would like to add in here too is when using this, you should overcome any difficult terrain caused by cold.
Love that.
It's small, but honestly, there should be, you should not be at all like stopped by any conditions regarding cold.
Agreed.
I wouldn't even mind like adding in language like you can't be slowed by cold. Like, you basically can't, like, not only are you immune to cold damage, but you can't be affected by cold in any negative way.
Like, because there's a spell, I think it's like Sleet Storm or something like that, that when you end your turn inside the thing, you have to make a dexterity saving throw or fall prone or something like that. I would say that something like that wouldn't affect you as well.
Oh, I guess Ranger already gives them immunity to cold terrain.
Really?
Yes.
The base Ranger?
That's what Pokeniner is saying.
I mean, maybe you can choose, but it's just cold terrain?
It looks like it's the base class. Rough or difficult terrain gets ignored by Rangers. By their base class, I guess.
Shit. I don't know enough about Rangers.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, again, for capstones, I'm always looking for that thing that makes me feel complete. And this is cool, but I don't know if I feel complete.
I will say the +6 modifier is huge.
Right.
Because that's changing a lot of things. It's changing your to hit. It's changing your damage, because you get a static bonus to your damage higher than your normal. I'm assuming by this point, by level 15, you're going to have at least a 20, especially if you're having a strength build.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't, this is going to be way more valuable. But if you do, you just get a +1 to everything that you do.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that you do significantly, including grapple checks, including strength saving throws, including whatever else. So that's cool. I would also say something like every one of your attacks does an additional die of damage. Being that much bigger, any damage you do does an additional die of damage.
Yeah.
Maybe not spells, because spells are the spells, but at the very least, any other type of damage you output, I wouldn't even mind any cold spells as an additional die of damage.
You know what would be cool? Either at level 15, like definitely either level 15. I wouldn't mind at level 11. I don't think it would be terribly game breaking at level 11, but at least at level 15, either in or out of this form. You know what I mean? Like you can either just say that this is always on or only on in this form. But I think what would be really nice is whenever you have like your Runic Wrath feature, like whenever your rune's activated, at some point later in the game, whenever your rune is activated or when you're in this form, any opportunity attack that you make, or anytime you hit an enemy with an attack of opportunity, you bring their speed to 0. Like you freeze them in place. Because I'm thinking about this.
Free sentinel.
Exactly, because I'm looking at this and I'm just like, the whole point is to keep them there. And I'm like, why haven't we messed with the idea that if I do an opportunity attack, it's basically like, no, you ain't going nowhere. So at least at level 15, regardless of whether or not it has anything to do with the Bitter Blessing, I just like the idea that when you make an attack of opportunity, as long as your rune is active on your weapon, that weapon just stops them in their place. That to me would feel way more beneficial at any stage, especially at a capstone. Because that truly means that, again, it's that thing that would make me feel complete. Because at that point, I've not only engaged you, gotten in your face and aggroed you, then I made you scared of me, and then I made you realize you're not going anywhere. And even if I missed, guess what? I have that hand to bring you the fuck back. So that concept of let's add that one thing of, yes, I can bring you closer to me and bring you back, but I should have also had something to stop you from going in the first place.
Now, I know this may not be as appealing to other people as it is to me. I kind of like the idea, and I know he said this wasn't necessarily a damage build, but I would say, honestly, I think that what I would like is you can't do less than half damage.
Ooh.
Anytime you roll under half, you get basically the average damage.
Okay.
Like
that's unique. I haven't heard that before.
I like, you're not getting max damage. You're not doing like crazy.
No, but you have a minimum level. You always do a minimum of half damage.
A minimum, and it's like number one, it would encourage you to use cold damage as much as you can. Again, you only have so many spell slots.
But still, like, I mean that still makes your spells so much more powerful than any other ranger.
Dropping a cone of cold.
That's what I'm saying. Like yeah, you being
when you drop that, you're gonna feel the weight of my it's gonna be valuable. Like I'm getting some shit out of it, and like that, I don't think that's too crazy.
I don't think it's too crazy. I don't think that's too bad.
There's plenty of things, even in there's like a, what do you call it? One of the subclasses I think of cleric allows you to do max damage on any of your lightning spells, right? Like it's in a very specific situation, but
you know what we also should have done too, because we're getting closer to, like, again, we're taking these steps to making the cold damage you can do worse, because that really should have also been the focus here. Is everything should have been when you deal cold damage, more stuff happens.
Sure.
So why not also add it in either this level or a previous level to go along with this idea? Like this one, doing the minimum half damage would be really interesting. Anytime you deal cold damage, you do a minimum of half. And then what if you also, one of your abilities, like whenever your rune, again, because this can all be based off the runes, whenever the rune's activated, you always deal minimum half damage when you do cold damage. So again, tie it to the rune. The rune has to be activated.
Sure.
Because that's how I love that's how the classes work, when everything's tied to the same thing.
No, I like that.
And another ability we can tie to it is whenever your rune's activated, not only do you do half damage when you do cold spells, but whenever a rune is activated,
I would even say all your weapon damage is cold.
Oh, no. I don't want all your weapon, because that might not always work, but Armor of Agathis should count as cold damage.
Oh, it already does.
Oh, does it actually cold damage?
Does.
Okay. I didn't realize it. So baseline, it's cold damage.
Baseline, it's cold damage.
I didn't know that. I just thought it was just like magical. I didn't realize it was actually retaliatory cold damage.
Yep.
Because then even that wouldn't guarantee half. always. Well, I guess it always kind of
it's static damage. It's just 5 damage, which is what I love about it. It is you don't even roll for that damage. You just take this damage.
Oh, that's another one that would be really interesting if you wanted to make Armor of Agathis also a Shining Star. At some point, you could say that because Armor of Agathis only depletes when you get attacked, right? Mm-hmm. So what if one of these abilities adds cold damage equal to Armor of Agathis? So whenever you make an attack, if you have Armor of Agathis, you get that cold damage flat added on as long as it's up. So not only will it deplete upon being attacked and it retaliates with that damage, so that's when it depletes, but all other times it's just flat stacking on your attacks. That might be too powerful because of how much it can stack, but it's only an extra 15 damage. That's basically an extra, 2d8? It's not that bad.
Well,
it's not that terrible.
What do you max out at? You max out at 5th level spells. So 15 at level 3, 20 at level 4, 25 at level 5. So if I cast a max level Armor of Agathis, I'm doing 25 points of damage every time somebody does.
That might be a little much.
So
that might be much.
What?
But again, maybe not. Maybe that's kind of the point. Because again, I'm looking at it from the point of view of when I get to this end, do I feel complete? Where I started from, the point of which
how do you feel about this?
I built the character, do I get to see it through?
Instead of so whenever say what do you call it? I'm debating on when you trigger this. It could be anytime you hit a target or anytime you cast a spell that does cold damage. You receive 5 points of Armor of Agathis temporary hit points. So if you have no Armor of Agathis, you just get 5 points.
Oh, interesting.
Now, that's the only amount of temporary. So you're not getting a lot of health, but it will trigger. This is where I'm struggling. Should I let it trigger at the max amount? Let it trigger at the 25?
I see.
Or should I let it trigger, or should it just do 5 damage? Because if it just does 5 damage, what are we really doing it for?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So being able to say, hey, it triggers at a specific level, or it triggers at max level. You know what I'm saying? So I struggle with, because doing that 25 damage, that would be sick. Again, this would be whenever your rune is activated or something like that, you get 5 points. So it's only
because I like the idea of it's the rune activated and you have Armor of Agathis points. Like it's that whole thing of you're not just getting extra damage, it's you have to be in your prime. Mm-hmm. And the longer you go without being hit, the more powerful you are. But the moment you get hit, you immediately lose all that. So all it takes is one stray arrow and boop, you have no more extra damage.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing, is like it I like the idea of it, but I don't know how to make it fully work. But I think there's something there. Again, my biggest thing is I just want something to come full circle to make me feel like I finally saw this to the end. And while I like the idea of becoming this giant, like again, my biggest thing is, give me something along the lines of, if I make an attack of opportunity, I drop them to 0. Like their speed to 0. That would also make me feel complete, because then I have all my bases covered. I can slow you beforehand, you can get away from me, and I can pull you back, or I can stop you from getting away from me. Like it covers all the points about being the person that locks down an enemy.
Sure.
It's the one thing they can still do is run away from me. But if I had that ability to, like opportunity attack, and if I hit, you ain't going nowhere. That would make me feel like the tank that deserves to be on a one-on-one and lock them down.
Just so it doesn't feel like a one-to-one copy of Sentinel. What if you knocked them prone? Meaning they have to use half their speed to get up. If they're still
if they still want to continue.
If they still want to keep running away.
That'd be fine.
So, imagine they're slowed 10 feet and they get knocked prone, so they have to use half their speed to get. They're not getting very far.
Yeah.
So I still feel like, I mean, again, turning their speed to 0 is still huge, but it's
Or go one step further and be a jackass about it and say, whenever you successfully make an attack of opportunity on an enemy, you can then cast Titan's Grasp. So however far they run, they have to make a strength check or be dragged the fuck back.
I like being able to use that as like a reaction, as a part of your.
So it's like if you swing on them and they run away from you and you hit them, you can also just be like, make a strength check, and if not, I'm gonna drag your ass back and you're prone. That might actually be kind of cool. I wouldn't mind that as an option too.
So this is very interesting, because if you did take Sentinel, when you are making an attack of opportunity for somebody leaving your range that does not use your reaction, specifically if you have Sentinel.
Gotcha.
So if for whatever reason you miss that first attack, this ability would allow you to, so you're leaving my range, I missed that attack, you're able to escape from me. Now I use my grasp with my actual reaction to pull you back. So like getting that reprieve of like, you got away, not, and then bringing you back. That I think would be sick, especially after they use their movement to get out of there. That would be clean. That would be really clean.
Sentinel does still require your reaction. Okay.
Does it? No. Whoa. I swear. There was an element.
Oh, it's because it allows you to opportunity attack even if they disengage. That's why. They can't get away from it regardless of their abilities. That's why Sentinel's so strong.
Yes.
It would make sense that it has to be a reaction. I'm pretty sure, because then you can't spam it indefinitely. Because then otherwise you'd be able to use it more than once in a turn.
I think that's kind of the...
I thought you can only use it once.
When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. Creatures provoke opportunity attacks from you, even if they take disengage before leaving. When a creature is within 5 feet of you... Then which one doesn't... There's... Is it Polearm Master? No.
I know people just take that with Sentinel so they get the extra 10 feet.
Yeah, but there was something that said when you... Because with Polearm Master, you can use an attack of opportunity when someone enters your range, as well as exits.
Interesting.
And so I remember it was a feat, or maybe it was an ability for a class or subclass.
Pokeniner says the Lancer archetype for fighter basically gives you endless reactions. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
I have not heard of that one either. That's wild. I'll have to see if I can figure it out. But it basically only allowed you to do it once. It was only once, so it wouldn't allow you to like endlessly loop it.
Yeah.
But it was one of the things that didn't cost you your reaction to make an attack. I gotta remember what ability that was talking about, but I don't know.
There's probably like a feat or something that would make sense for that.
Sure.
Let's see. It's got to be like a feat, you would think. Yeah, I can't find anything easily.
Yeah,
we'll find. You talking about Cavalier or the Vigilant Defender? Starting at 18th level, you respond to danger with extraordinary vigilance. In combat, you get a special reaction that you can take once on every creature's turn except your own. You can use this special reaction only to make an attack of opportunity. You can't use this on the same turn.
No,
you use your normal reaction.
I did not know Cavalier had that. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
That's basically giving you legendary actions for attacks of opportunity. That's wild.
Basically. All right. So I will say it was a rough start. I was not as hopeful for this whole class as we were getting into it. It did end pretty strong. I will say that my biggest critiques are it just doesn't paint enough of a picture for me to know why I'm choosing this class. So without knowing ahead of time, like without knowing Pokeniner's intent for the build and everything, and kind of knowing like the purpose of it,
reading it raw.
Yeah, I probably would have not come to the same conclusion that this is meant to be a stand your ground, I'm gonna take this person's attention kind of fight, right? Or class. Like it's just not what I would have thought of.
Sure.
Beyond that, I love the idea. I really like the idea of kind of its own subletting subclass with going after a new version of a rune subclass instead of going after the rune knight, having this under a ranger. So it's definitely gonna get a point off of that. I think that there's a lot of benefits and a lot of value here. I think that the beginning ability just needs a small amount of cleanup. I would like some more options, and just a lot less one punch all at once, out the gate. And my only other real critique after that is I just like a capstone that feels not more complete or stronger, but just makes me feel like I completed full circle. I finally came to see like what, again, the idea that where I started at 3rd level, I want to feel fulfilled at the final level, not just I got a whole bunch of new different stuff, but I want to see that come full circle of this is where I started and this is now where it is. I would like, the verbiage to most of these things just be when your runic wrath is active. That would be a great precursor to almost any of these abilities.
Sure.
Because then that's the kind of circular mindset I want, is that I want to see these things build off each other, and at the end I want to see it all come together and go, yes, I fulfilled my destiny. I am this thing,
yes.
And that's my two biggest critiques, is I don't feel like it caps itself well. I feel like it's a little bit of a rough start for me. And then overall, I just don't know what to do with it. It's not clear to me that this is what it is. And even if it is, I'm a little worried that, I don't want to call it a one-trick pony, but I'm a little worried that it is really only built to be used one way, which is also not a great thing for a subclass because you kind of want it to be a little bit more versatile. But again, this was for a specific project, so
sure.
It was an intent. There was an intent there. It's not maybe as universal, which is fine. Not every subclass has to be uber universal. But if this does, in order to work, if this needs a certain set of features, backgrounds, and all these other things, it does fall short of being a complete subclass because it needs the support of everything. But overall, I really like it. That's the other thing, is I do really like it. I think it has a lot of unique ideas. I think overall, all the stuff goes well together. It's just it's how it unfolds. Sure. I think is the part that doesn't tell the whole story for me. But other than that, I really like it as an alternative to the room. Like this is the kind of stuff that subletting subclasses was built on. This concept right here of what would someone else who came across runes that isn't a fighter do it?
Yeah.
And I will say that this feels like that. It does feel like we're getting a ranger subclass out of that concept. So I don't know, a lot of back and forth. There's quite a bit that I would change, I will say. The lore is there. The lore is totally fine. It's just the approach is pretty good. I would definitely change a little bit of how I would use this, but I wouldn't necessarily change a lot of what's being used.
Okay.
The slowing down, the cold damage, like the focusing on the cold, the focusing on getting to become this like frost giant kind of thing. All of these things work well. I think I would just progress them differently.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that one. Yeah, but because it gets the inspiration point, I will give it a 7.
Legit.
It has a lot more potential than I'm giving it credit for. I think I'm being more critical in my words than I am in my head.
Sure.
Like I do like the idea. I'm struggling to put it together. So while I like the concept, it's hard for me to put into words why it's just out of grasp for me to really, really just want to be like, yes.
Resonate. Yeah.
It's like, again, there's not a lot of that's broken. Most of it's just verbiage and a little bit of the way I would approach it. But all of the abilities and the stuff that it can do, it's all there. It's all a good idea. I'm just having a hard time like connecting to it.
Sure.
And again, that also just may be the type of player that I am, and that I'm not really.
And then it's a lot of 5th edition vibes rather than.
Yeah. So take that for what you will, Pokeniner. It may just be my disconnect, but I do really like the idea. I think this is exactly what I want to see. I want to see more of this kind of subletting subclass stuff. I want to see more subclasses approach the source of another subclass and then see what they would have done with it. It's such a cool idea, and I'm happy we got to see this because I'm liking that other people are doing that and not just because a lot of times subclasses feel like they're creating a archetype, like a more caricature archetype, you know,
Sure.
Instead of it fulfilling the lore that D&D should be fulfilling, right? If there's giants that made runes and a fighter was able to take those giant runes and become something, why has no one else in history done the same thing?
Yeah.
That's what I wish we were focused on more when we came to building stuff than, well, hey, I want to be Captain Hook, or I want to be Peter Pan,
Sure.
or I want to be, you know, JoJo, or I want to be a Demon Slayer. Like, everyone wants to be the caricature of an individual they've seen, but I would much rather have this concept of
how do you want
happened
to embody this element?
How did you get there? Not who.
How do you go
here.
be somebody that already exists? How do you embody something uniquely?
Yeah,
fair enough.
But let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Thank you again, Pokeniner, for the submission. I hope you enjoyed the review, and hopefully it wasn't too terrible to hear all of my misunderstandings, but it was a lot of fun. I really like it. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope you took some things away from it and got some good ideas. But yeah, definitely let us know in the comments what you thought. What was your favorite abilities, and do you agree with any of our changes? Do you think that it did exactly what Pokeniner wanted it to be? Is it a ranger that is a tank? Does it make sense for this to be a standalone 1v1? I'm gonna take your attention while my party's busy. Does that make sense to you, or are you on my side where it just doesn't come together that way? I'm really curious to know what y'all think, but let us know either in the comments or in Discord. You know where all to find us. But otherwise, again, Pokeniner, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We will be back next Monday with more reviews.
Big facts.
Yeah, that was pretty good though. Yeah, fascinating. I really like the idea too that we went away from a lot of the standard expectations of Ranger, right?
Sure.
Like, I will say that one thing Pokeniner did successfully was make a melee Ranger, right? We didn't really get anything ranged till the very end, which is great.
Sure.
But it still felt really
and it's
good.
Just that
and it
one
was limited.
ability that brings you into range, and it's
yeah. And it had a good limited range. It itself had a good limited range. Yeah, I think that there was a lot here that was fascinating. My second edition storytelling approach to class building, that's where I think I'm falling short of seeing the big picture.
Sure.
But yeah. All right, cool. Well, that was almost 3 hours. Holy shit. For not a big review, that was actually quite a lot of talking.
I'm telling you, anytime it comes to some of Pokeniner stuff, we always go hard on it. We always go hard on it, which I much appreciate.
I mean, Pokeniner always gives us, they always challenge us to think through it instead of just like, not to say that, it's not simplistic, but there's a lot of builds that you get and you're just like, oh yeah, that totally works, or oh, that totally doesn't.
It's pretty straightforward or not.
But Pokeniner likes to challenge those, the assumptions, right? Like the idea of, how are we going to approach this in a way that no one's seen before? How are we going to approach this in a way that feels that it should belong within the limits, but we want to test the boundaries of what you think is possible? Like I like thinking that way, and that's a lot of what I try to do as well. But again, words are hard, and sometimes you just can't make that connection, So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, as we always do. So I saw a new average for Pokeniner is an 8.
Yes, indeedy.
Fantastic. And what is next week's item?
Next week's item, if all goes well, is Desmar Sama's Chameleon Folk.
Chameleon Folk, another race, huh?
Folk. Yes, indeed.
All right, another race, not too bad. All right, cool. Well, let's see. Let me double check the Discord before we go. But I'll even post Discord links in chat if you want to join. The community stream post is up in the community stream channel. We have 4 votes now. 2 votes for Lauren Poor, helping you build your campaign setting. We have 1 vote for Pop Culture Bill and 1 vote for mini paintings.
Okay, cool.
Looks like Soul and Cosmic are down for Lauren Poor. Hecate wants some Pop Culture builds. pop culture builds, and Soul also wants some mini paintings. Sweet, sweet. And you've just posted that. New average is 8, 7 out of 10. Not too bad. All right. Well,
schedule post.
Oh yeah.
Ready. Real quick.
So they don't start pinging you 2 days from now and being like, it's not updated.
Where is
it? I do love that they keep us honest, though. I love that they're honest for
they
it.
Can't. I appreciate it. I hope it always comes across that I'm here, open to it. But yeah, and I'm so glad I got this. It's an actual Disco Hook bot to work now. It's so much easier than me having to like go in and pick all the things every single time. And I'm like, all right, let's just do this. Push a couple buttons and we Gucci.
All right, well, I think we will end it there for today's stream. Meet us this Friday. We'll be back with D&D discussions. Next week, unless my board game comes in, then we'll do board game night. Otherwise, board game night next week when my board game comes in, and then we'll go back to some games, and then we'll do a Misfit Gamers build, probably a sublet and subclass, and then we'll restart the cycle. So that's kind of our new schedule. We're just going to be going through that. We're going to do a D&D discussions, a board game, Misfit Gamers build, a game night, a video game night, and then keep rotating those whenever it makes sense. So join us Friday if that sounds fun. If you see us online any other time, that's probably just a pop-up stream. Say hi. We would love that. And otherwise, I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, and I hope you have a great week ahead of you. We'll see you all on Friday. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.